What is that sound? What is that music? What is that countdown? It only means one thing. It's Sunday Fun Day here on YouTube with the Primetime Kings. With the mighty power of power himself, 24/7 Fusion Media. The ever-mysterious Vigilante Williamson. Hot rodding it in with his classic hot rod is New Bomb Turk of the Hollywood Knights. And then there's me, your humble co-host, announcer, whatever, all-around nice guy, Paranorman Tag. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy this DC episode of The Prime Time King. Yeah.
Hey, what's up? It's your boy, 24/7 here with New Bomb Turk, Baron Norman Tag. Hopefully pretty soon we'll see Vigilante Williamson, and we are the Primetime Kings. Just wanted to tell everyone thank you for being here with us, supporting us, and man, I'm totally eternally grateful for everybody that has ever came to watch, any one of these shows. Even for a minute. And I also wanted to thank, everybody on the panel. You guys are awesome. The chat's awesome, man. And I just, personally wanted to say thank y'all. I know I said thank y'all, to the panel, backstage, but I really want to iterate, the thanks. And did I say reiterate? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And just want to say thank y'all. So with that, let's see who is in the house. Oh shit. My bad. I guess I'm getting demonetized because I done cursed in the first minute, huh?
Oh no.
Yeah, I know, right? Like,
it was nice all knowing you folks.
Yeah, but I'd like to say what's up to Keely Chow. He's saying, hey, everybody. What's going on, brother? First one here, man. Thank you. So, Roll Tide, my brother. I appreciate you. Very own New Bomb Turk. Captain Fandom Nerd. Man. Hey, thank you for being here, man.
Nerd.
Yeah, man. That's some awesome shit. Zax, my brother. Boy, I was just thinking about you today, Zax. No shit. Like, I really need to talk to you, man. So, but thank you, man, for being here, man. As always, man. You've always had my back, man. I appreciate
it. Hey, Zax.
Socks. Man, Socks, fucking awesome ass dude, man. Very supportive, man. I got a lot of love for Socks, man. He's something special, man. Appreciate you, Socks, for being here, man. Thank y'all for
nice talk.
Yeah, man. Thank y'all for being here, man. You guys are awesome, man. Everybody saying what's up to each other. Always some good shit. Other than that, man, how you doing, New Bomb? How's your week been, man?
Doing all right. I actually had a company reach out to me offering, at least telling me about a position that I have experience in. So I'm going through that process right now, waiting to hear back from them.
Lord Thoth in the house. What's going on, brother? It's so, is it something that you're really considering, is it a tempting offer?
Yeah, I mean, it's pay is on par to what I was making prior.
Right.
It's workforce management, which I have like 12 years of experience in. We'll see where it goes. I'm not going to sit here and hold my breath because part of the application form was this document you have to go through. And basically, like years ago, they used to give you psych eval type tests, right? Just to check where your brain's at. Now it's a I got to think of the name they called it, an empathy test.
Empathy, right.
To see how empathetic you are to other people's issues and whatnot.
Yeah, it's a feelings test. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. And I just kind of like, there's no difference between these and the old psych evals. You can completely shade them and give a bullshit answer, and it'll come out the way that you want it, because it's multiple choice. It's not like what would you do in this situation type of paragraph. It's just very likely, very unlikely, and 3 stages in between. But beyond that, we'll see where it goes. I haven't worked in a few years, so this should be interesting.
Well, I tell you what, man. Hopefully, hopefully it's to your liking. Hopefully you get it, man. Straight up.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, hope hope for the best and prep for the worst. That kind of thing. So
right.
Shit, but I appreciate you letting us know that, man. That's some good shit. What's going on with you, Baron?
Oh, not too much myself. Just trying to take it easy and being my chill self. Yeah, right. Taking care of my little Doxy. Unfortunately, she hurt her back, but she's feeling better now. So, I had to take her in and give her some steroid injection. Well, it's not injection, basically in the mouth. It's, an oral thing. And some gabapentin. And it's like, oh, yeah, I know all about gabapentin. So, I wish mine was in liquid form. But as that goes, though, other than that, everything's good. Tomorrow, hopefully, find out what the situation is like for the long suffering. And hopefully that means it's one step closer to coming home. So it'll just mean more work for me. I have to take her to therapy 3 times a week, which is just fine and dandy. We'll find out most of this stuff tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to that. And I can't wait to have her come home.
Oh, I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, she's awesome, man. So yeah, I definitely understand that.
And despite what Dildo says, she is real. Oh, in fact, there she is in the chat. My long suffering. So.
Oh, there she goes. Hey, what's going on? Yeah, shit, great to have you here.
Oh, she can't miss. She loves you guys too much. It's not because of me she listens to. It's because of you and New Bomb and Vigilante. She loves you guys too.
Oh, man. Nah, man. Shit. Nah, we love her too, man. So that's the feeling's mutual over here. So, I'm thankful that she's here. So with that, I wanted to actually, like I was talking to the fellas, behind the scenes, I know that, from the beginning of the week, you've been hearing everybody's take on this whole DC thing. And I know I've said one thing, I've said a few things when I was with the Comic Book Roundtable over on Loki's Warnings of Mischief on Wednesday. I was with, Clopper and Times and Classic Comics and Stone Loki. And I've said what I said there with them, but now that we hear, for everybody that, hasn't heard what was said or, haven't heard what we thought of everything, I would like to see what you both thought of the announcements, from James Gunn with, the whole new beginning of DC on film. I know see, I can't wait to get home. I know you can. I understand. I know a lot of people, me myself, if anybody watched the video, it was a 6-minute video that he dropped, and he basically outlined what he was going to do. And, and to be honest, out of after watching everything, I was sitting there after the 6 minutes had went by, and YouTube showed it, and they jumped into a commercial. The next video popped in, and I'm just still sitting there, and I'm just thinking about everything he said, and I was like, wow, it was very underwhelming. And when I started really looking into what he actually did, because I had to sit there and actually slow down, and I played the video like 4 or 5 times, and I started realizing that something didn't smell right when I was sitting here watching James Gunn's video. And he starts off the video, because I dropped a video on it, and he starts off basically saying how much of a convoluted mess DC has been. So I was like, wow, that doesn't even sound like, I don't know. It's like basically, when you watch the new boss come in, or a new manager or a new whatever come into the business that's already been ran, and he's sitting there talking to all the employees. It's kind of weird when he comes in and he says, hey, I know this place has been run like a shit show before I got here, but now that I'm here, I'm about to set things straight. And you sit there and you look at it and you're like, well, like, what the fuck? Like, what? So right off the bat, before he even said what his first project was, he kind of took me for a loop. And, I was like, wow, he just shitted on, the past, bosses over at DC. But the thing is, even though they might not hold the same position, some of those people are still there.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're sitting there and you're talking shit about people that some of them still have their fucking job. They just don't have their same positions no more. They just been shifted around. But it doesn't mean you don't pass them up in the hallway when it's time for you to go to work.
I don't know. I've worked at quite a few companies that when they brought in new management or replaced someone who had left, those managers did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not anything new. I'll say that.
Right.
A number of times. I don't know. I mean, I don't necessarily disagree, but it was self-inflicted wounds, so to speak.
Right.
The idea that Snyder was going to be the end all, and we're going to continue on with his story. Well, no, okay, scratch that. We're moving somewhere else. No, okay, scratch that. We're shelving this movie, Batgirl.
Right.
Because it's just a disaster. Like it did so poorly in test screenings that they were like, no, we can't do this. Our reputation will suffer greatly if we release this. Then when shit like that happens, it's a shitstorm. Now, will that change any? You're keeping Ezra Miller around. You're believing the bullshit he's telling you about being a better person. All this, I don't see that changing unless they're just keeping him on the chain until after that movie releases, where they basically reset everything. And sorry, bro, you got reset too. And then they send and kick him to the curb. Or if he does something egregious again,
right.
Even though he has not been charged with anything of any significance, which is completely crazy.
Yeah, it is.
It is what it is. I'll give him props for calling it out.
Right.
Because a lot of the bigwigs have been replaced. Zaslav replaced the previous.
Right.
His cohort, whatever his name is,
like Toby Emmerich and everybody, Hamada and the whole slew
they're
of
all
them,
gone.
Right.
So
Well, actually, I heard like Toby and Hamada, they got put to a whole different position, and then Hamada I'm saying like some of them, they still hold a job at Warner Brothers. Like Lord Thorpe said, just said, a lot of them still there. So what it is they got moved around.
Right.
You know, but they're no longer in control of anything that's DC Films or anything that's comic book related. Like they're completely doing completely different shit.
Right.
And so that's what I'm saying. That's why I said, like, you sitting there, you talking shit by people that you got to pass them up in the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see. Now I'm the kind of person that would do that and then stare them down in the hallway. Like,
Oh well,
you really got something to say? Let me bring up all your failures. Let me look you in the eye and tell you fucked up. Like,
right,
I would not have a problem with that.
Yeah,
right.
In fact, Newbaum does that with me every time before we start a show. So.
Well, you know,
I mean, honestly,
we know Toby
like,
Emmerich. No, go ahead.
from
I'm sorry.
That's all right. From a James Gunn perspective, the
Right.
only thing he has to say to any of them is, "I'm here because you failed," and then walk away.
Right.
And they got no response.
No.
You know, again, is it going to work? I don't know. I give him, like, you look at the list of things that they had brought up that he's going to put into production, and it's a very James Gunn like list of characters. You know? Let me pull out from like way in the background, and I'm going to grab this group and pull them in, and I'm going to go way back in the background over here and pull this group in. You know, it could work, but him doing the first Superman movie, like the actual in-universe Superman movie, not some Elseworlds thing. That'll be the movie to tell. Like, can he do a movie that's not a Guardians ripoff?
Right, like jokey joke and full of that bullshit humor. Like could he do a straight up fucking movie?
Exactly. Now the movies he's done, you know, Guardians obviously, and then Suicide Squad, both of them kind of fit the same mold. So, you know, it worked for those characters.
Right.
It'll be telling. You know, seeing what he does with Superman, seeing who he casts and whatnot, and what the story is, we'll go from there.
Right.
Well, I mean, I'm looking at the other side there too with his announcements, and I get a little worried that he's going to, you know, do that formulaic plan that they have at Marvel. You know, he's going through there and do that list. I do think that we're going to see superhero fatigue, so he's going to have to do something different with DC than he did over at Marvel. It's not time to keep up with the Joneses, especially with this dark time at Marvel happening. People are not happy what's going on over there. The only Marvel film I'm interested in is Guardian of the Galaxies, and that's about it. Nothing else that Marvel's offering. But what gets more confusing and disconcerting is that he is doing almost a multiverse as it is. So we're going to do a sequel to the Batman, but it's not going to be part of the universe. But we're going to do this Batman while having another Batman. Where we're at it too, we're going to have this Penguin series that's going to be leading up to this Batman that's not part of the universe. You know,
have you read comics in the last 20 years?
Well, I know I have.
Well,
I know, exactly. You know, there's all the way back in the 80s when you had Who's Who in DC, you know, Earth 1, Earth 2, and all that.
There's always been some variation of multiverse, Elseworlds. Like, that's all they know.
Right. But the thing is it could get confusing for those that aren't in the know. Many of these people who, you know, as kind of sitting back saying on another stream, that they're aiming a lot of this stuff to normies, and they don't necessarily understand the full lore of the superheroes like we do. That there is multiple universes and such. And one of the best things, I guess, would be helping introduce that, besides, of course, on the Marvel side with the multiverse movies that they had, is that the Flash film was going to be playing around with the multiverse in the DC. Well, that's been shelved indefinitely right now. And I suppose they're waiting.
He said they're releasing that movie.
Oh, yeah. It's coming this year. It's coming in July.
In July? Okay. 16th. I didn't hear a date yet on that one, so that's why
it's July 16, 2023.
Okay.
Yeah.
So So I mean, that one would be to help introducing, but then again, it's what, a universe that's coming to an end, the Schneiderverse.
Effectively, yeah.
Yeah. And was it going to be the ushering of this new one? And they're putting a little bit more focus on the non-universe stuff before they get to that universe. Again, for someone who's not versed in this, it's going to be confusing. And now the big question is: are you actually going to do a comic book movie? Or are you just going to have an action film with tights?
No, they're not going to do Flashpoint correctly. I guarantee it. From what we've seen so far, it's going to be a vague interpretation of Flashpoint.
Right.
The only Flashpoint outside of the comic book, the only Flashpoint that referred to the comic book top to bottom was the animated movie. And the animated movie is great, but it's again, like you were saying, to the normie, it's like, what the fuck? It's completely off the rails. Wonder Woman is a psychopathic murderer, kills Mera to get back at Aquaman, and that's why that war happens. And it's Batman is the father, not the son, and it would confuse a ton of people.
Yeah. And even some people who are casual comic book readers. I mean, they like the comics and all that, but now all of a sudden it's like, what's this? And it's not necessarily following what the comics are showing. I mean, it's just, there was some sort of, I don't know, is symmetry the right word? That would be going to, that even the people who are not heavily involved in this would understand. And how many people have again, how many people differentiate between Marvel and DC? I mean, it's just like the same people go Star Trek, Star Wars, same thing, or down there's many people that think the same thing because it's a superhero movie. DC, Marvel, they're the same thing. They're two different universes, two different story styles.
I think
different companies.
Two different companies. Right down to it.
But to be honest, I think after the last 13, pushing on 14 years of what Marvel's been doing since Iron Man. I think people. I think really general people, unless you really just don't know what the fuck's going on. I think people really know the difference between one and the other. I think it's well established that these are two completely different things. But what it is people still throw it all in the same pot.
Yeah.
When it comes to this is still the superhero genre. So I mean, I think people are starting to smarten up some, and I think a lot of it has to do with us. Now I'm not saying, it's just folks that talk about it.
You could equate it to what was it back in the mid '80s Jordan era basketball. You can go to China and Michael Jordan. Yeah, we know who Michael Jordan is. Can you name any other basketball player? No. They knew who significant characters are, or in that case, superstars. But beyond the primary, it gets hazy. Not all of them know. Same thing with comic books. You go to a place that doesn't sell comic books on the regular, a country like, say, Japan, who've got their own thing going on.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll know, Batman, Superman, we know those characters. Beyond that, they're hazy on everything, and especially some of the groups that he plans on introducing, they'll have zero clue. I mean, I had to kind of dig a bit to figure out who he was talking about when it came to that. What was the one? The animal one. I'll have to look it up. One of the groups of teams or whatever that he had planned on doing a movie for. And it was like, who? What?
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I just can't remember the name myself either. Yeah.
You talking about the first team he mentioned or a little down the line?
It was down the line. I'm trying to look.
Yeah.
You must be talking about the Authority.
Well, that was one of them, but there was another one.
You're not talking about the Creature Commandos?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's it.
that was the first team that he had mentioned. It's supposed to be an animated show that he already has written, and it's James Gunn. He's known to really he likes misfits and assholes. People that have attitudes and but at the same time, he likes a lot of obscure shit that nobody knows about. I mean, of course, if you're a comic book guy, like all the shit he talks about, I already knew who the fuck he was talking about while he was mentioning it. But the thing is, some of it has some audience and some of it doesn't. And then, it's like I say, the Creature Commando. When you look at who's there, you got Rick Flag Sr. So that's the first guy you see. So basically, like Rick Flag from the Suicide Squad, that's his dad.
Yeah.
And the thing is,
it reminded me of Captain America: First Avenger.
Right.
Like it's set back in World War II, so their formation of the team. It has Rick Flag Sr. It has these legacy characters.
It was Rick Flag Sr. It was some kind of mermaid chick, like the monster from the Black Lagoon kind of thing. Then you had Frankenstein and the Bride of Frankenstein.
Right.
Then you have G.I. Robot, who was from the days of like Sergeant Rock. So there was a robot there with so you have G.I. Robot, which is I remember reading G.I. Robot comic books way back, and then you have if it's taking place in World War II.
I think we're losing him.
I think we lost him there a little bit.
Weasel is old as fuck, if that's the case. And then, another issue with that is that Weasel. You remember when James? If anybody peeped it out, James Gunn, what he said in that 6 minutes was like, "Hey, look, guys, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take live action characters and put them into cartoon, and so basically." Whoever he casts
back and forth,
So basically, whoever he casts for a live action or a cartoon, they need to be ready to be not just to take the role of just a voice actor. You need to be ready to fucking switch that shit to you so people can see your face in live action.
I don't really mind that, to be honest.
No. I'm not saying there's something wrong with it, but the whole issue with that is his brother, James Gunn's brother, Sean Gunn, is the
Weasel. Yeah,
is the Weasel. So basically, are you sticking your brother in this cartoon show just so that you can, just so you can so he can have a job? Is this like a family thing? So, that was the thing. It was like what the fuck? Look, if you look at everybody that's there, what reason would the Weasel be in that show?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, like in Suicide Squad, the Weasel didn't say anything. He just squeaked a lot. How they're going to translate that into an animated show, like just have him squeak a bunch. I guess. The only problem I have with that, pardon me. Sorry about that. I was coughing. The only problem I have with that is some, in front of camera actors aren't very good voice actors.
No.
Like the timing that they use in front of a camera is very specific. And when the camera isn't there, then they have to kind of figure it out. And there are examples out there of actors being very bad voice actors.
Right.
Really good actors can figure it out. I mean, and actually, oddly enough, I know I'm going to get all kinds of hate for this, but Luke Hamill himself, or Mark Hamill, Luke himself, was a horrible actor. He was not a good actor. He was a great voice actor,
Right.
But kind of a one-trick pony. If you've heard his Joker and then you heard the Toymaker, you were like, it's just the Joker with different jokes. Like he kind of has he dips into the same well for a number of quote unquote crazy characters.
Mhm.
But nonetheless, he was a horrible in front of camera actor. If you've ever seen any of the other movies he was in, the only one I give any credence to his acting ability was what was it, Big Red One?
Oh yeah, Big Red One. Yep, 1980
Yeah.
with Lee Marvin.
But that- Right, and that's an exceptional movie that pulled him into, okay, you're acceptable in that role.
Mhm.
Corvette Summer, he was a shit actor in Corvette Summer,
Yeah,
and I couldn't even tell you, like, he's only been in a handful of fucking movies beyond Star Wars and those.
he wasn't so bad in Slipstream, but then again, his part wasn't that huge.
Right.
And he was a bad guy, so it was a little bit different than the others he was playing. But I know,
Right.
I mean, Corvette Summer was an absolute joke of a movie.
Yeah, I mean, I love the premise of the movie, but
Oh, yeah.
it falls apart when him and what's her face?
Oh, who was in that one? Oh, now you got me.
Mhm.
Yo, while y'all looking that up, if you don't mind, I wanted to say what's up to a few people. Connor Miller, hopefully you still
Hey,
here.
Danny
Want to say what's up to you, Rod Thunderheart. Glad that you're here, my brother. Man, that's what's up. Mr. PPV in the house.
Oh.
That's what's up. Gary's back door. Yo.
Wow.
Yo, it's been a minute since I've seen Gary's back door. So that's then we got the lovely Sherry. Thank you for being here, Sherry. That's, man, everybody's support is greatly appreciated. Thank y'all.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, it was Annie Potts.
Yep, Annie Potts was in there. Brian James was in there also, as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of other, like,
Mhm.
Eugene Roche was the teacher,
Mhm.
and he's been in a ton of movies. Danny Bonaducci was in there.
Yep, Danny. Yeah, I was good. He beat me to that one. Danny Bonaducci. Wendy Jo Sperber, she was in there.
Yeah.
Where she actually was bosom buddies that really shot her into.
Right.
No.
But yeah, like you didn't feel any chemistry between Hamill and Annie Potts at all. Like
Mhm.
they were just there, even though they were supposed to have this connection and a love story of sorts. It just, you get to the end of the movie and you're like, well, I see them walking away together, but I don't see that working. Like, because they just had no chemistry at all.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I never thought Mark Hamill was a great, in front of camera actor. He's a very good Joker, and that's, where he got most of his notoriety from, was the voice acting.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, hopefully, whoever Gunn hires can sit there and actually, they can actually make the transition, because that's the thing. So basically, he's going to be hiring people. Let's say like Frankenstein. Whoever the fuck the actor is going to have to, if they decide to bring him into live action, they're going to take the same guy. Hopefully, this dude has the presence of Frankenstein, whoever this guy is going to be.
Right. He's going to need to be very tall.
Exactly.
I mean, I guess you don't necessarily have to be very big, but, in costume, he has to be big.
Right. I mean, you know what? If you CGI Frankenstein, Marvel,
I don't think they'll do that.
I mean, my bad. Yeah, but I mean, that sounds something Marvel would do. Yeah. Look. I mean, hopefully DC has their shit together and they're ready to perform. But it's like it's crazy that this Creature Commando thing, it was his pet project. So my whole thing is, it sounds like it was something that James Gunn already had in the works, whether he was CEO or not.
Right.
They were going to greenlight this project.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that he got the position for the job, it put the project to the forefront. And
I don't know. I
you
mean,
know, it,
if you look at like you're saying, like between Marvel would CGI Frankenstein. Oddly enough, they didn't CGI Man Thing when it came to Werewolf
yeah, I
by
heard about
Midnight.
that.
That was
Yeah, I heard
actually
about that.
practical effects. So I mean, I
Right.
give him props for that.
Well, yeah, but it's going to be interesting as they go along with it because they're going to have to make sure contracts are written a certain way so they can guarantee that they'll have these people for both
Yeah,
mediums. And of course, when it comes around to casting, they're going to have to do double time on that one. Okay, let's see you act. Now let's see you do. Let's hear you do some voice work.
Right. Right. It's like I said, they're gonna have to be able to be flexible on both. But the fact that he is already initiating that, whatever we're gonna see in live action, and actually that's gonna go over the voice acting thing is gonna go over into the video games. So he's like, look,
Mhm.
we're gonna have video games that are gonna tie into all this shit.
Mhm.
So that's the same. So it's basically they have Weasel in a fucking video game. He's gonna be squeaking and shit or whatever the fuck he was doing. It's come on, man.
Right?
It's like
It's
fuck out of
like
here.
a squeaky
It's like it's no different than Vin Diesel.
don't bring Vin Diesel up. Oh, please don't.
I am
That kind of
Groot.
shit.
Well, no, because
I am Groot.
they used there was a Fast and Furious video game fairly recently that did so poorly it got pulled out of sales prematurely because it was so bad, and they used his voice in that, and he's one of those actors that cannot do voice acting for the life of him.
Oh boy.
He just sounded
Right.
dead flat. Like every voice line, there was zero inflectuation, there was zero energy behind it. Like the
Yeah,
situation could be like shit flying everywhere, things blowing up, and he was just like deliver his line monotone.
Yeah.
Kind of
I'm
like what he
down.
does in front of the camera, but
Yeah. I mean, just doing
Right.
I am Groot over and over again, at least, he can do that.
right.
Mhm. But yeah, he does not have much range. As much as we're saying about Mark Hamill not having range, Vin Diesel doesn't have
no.
much range. Yeah, he's got
No,
even
he
less.
Right. They had to basically make his character a CGI thing just to give it range.
Man.
Now, don't get me wrong. I did like him. The character that he played, that pitch dark or
Riddick.
Pitch,
Yeah.
Pitch
yeah,
Black.
Riddick. Pitch Black. I mean, I did like the character Riddick, but then again, a one trick pony type thing for him.
No,
Right.
actually,
Yeah. It fit
actually,
his style perfectly.
yeah, actually, the whole thing with Riddick. Matter of fact, I'm probably after the show, I'll be dropping. I got a Riddick video coming right now. Like all I gotta do is put the just fix this spruce. I already got it edited and everything. All I gotta do is just add title and everything to it and just drop it. But the thing is, Riddick it's a hell of a franchise, man. You got a lot of people that love that franchise. I know.
Yeah.
I'm be honest with you. When like when I drop videos, they get the views that they get. But when I drop Riddick videos,
They get a bigger view.
yeah, I my count goes into the K's at that point. And you got a lot of people that really love Riddick and everything.
And he's one of them too. Like he was a big push behind the movies even happening. Because
Right.
If I'm not mistaken, he liked the series so much he wanted to make sure he could get at least a number of the stories told.
Right. And I mean, you talking to your point. We talking like graphic novels, different things. The video games. The first video game they had put out, The Escape from Butcher Bay. Dude, when that thing came out, it won easily like 40 or 50 awards from all the top video game company, like the comic book magazines. All of them gave that motherfucker 5 stars, 10 out of 10. That shit. Look, you guys can look up Riddick Escape from Butcher Bay, the video game that came out on the Xbox. Man,
Yeah.
made money, and the awards was off the hook. Go ahead.
Oh yeah,
I'm listening.
Oh, I'm sorry. You dropped out here. That's why I started saying. My apologies. You know.
No.
And the big thing is, I didn't even like Pitch Black. I just did not like. I didn't like the movie. It was just too unbelievable.
It's a cult classic, man.
I know it's a cult classic, but it's one of those that I don't like. I mean, I can understand why people do like it, but I just guess I was just nitpicking that film so apart, and it was really hard for me. I mean, I liked his performance. I like Claudia Black from Farscape. She was in there, of course. Loved her performance, and I hated it.
Right.
But other than that, you know, that movie didn't really grab me. But
I would say out of the multiple movies that they made for that character, I don't think Pitch Black is the best. Probably because it has the smallest budget and the most time compression. Like they had to get it done and set and put out, so it suffers from that. The prequel was actually pretty good.
Prequel?
Yeah, one of the stories is actually before.
Because I know the whole thing inside out. So this is what it is. All right, you got Pitch Black. That's the first thing that came out. The prequel to anything would be the video game, Escape from Butcher Bay, which shows how he has his eyes shined and everything else. Then what happened was.
Nope, you broke out again.
The Chronicles of Riddick. But then what happened was with the Chronicles of Riddick, they released a cartoon. I don't know if you guys ever seen that.
No,
and it's supposed to be the link between Pitch Black and the Chronicles of Riddick. And that was done by the people that did that Matrix cartoon,
the Dark Fury. You're talking Dark Fury.
Dark Fury, right. Dark Fury is what I'm talking about. And so Dark Fury happens between Pitch Black and the Chronicles of Riddick.
Yeah.
And see, it's funny because that's actually a movie. And the thing is, they came out with Riddick afterwards. After the Chronicles of Riddick, they came out with the movie Riddick that had Batista in it. That was back in like 2013. Right. And the thing is that's considered to be Riddick Part 3 when it's actually supposed to be Riddick Part 4. Because everybody keeps excluding the cartoon when the cartoon was because I own a 3-pack movie. And so they sold Pitch Black, Dark Fury, and the Chronicles of Riddick as a trilogy. And they sold they you guys can look it up. That's a trilogy that was sold for many years. Like you can just look online, you know, Amazon or whatever, and you can just look it up and you can see that you know it's a regular DVD. It's not Blu-ray or nothing like that. But they had that as a trilogy. So if they sold it off as a trilogy, when you know if you're a person that's buying it, then why would because they're about to come out with a new movie, Riddick Dark Fury. It's Riddick 4. It's called Furia.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you got Riddick 4 Furia coming out, but how is that 4 when there's actually 5 movies? The thing is, then they're not. Again, there's 4 live action movies, but there's actually 5 movies altogether if you include the animated movie, and people are not looking at that as a part. You know, because all the voice actors came back in and did their parts, like Jack and Vin Diesel and the Holy Man. If you guys remember, you know, that movie and how it went, man. Dark Fury was awesome.
Yeah, I don't think I watched the animated.
No, I haven't seen that. No.
Yeah, it's yeah, and actually, a lot of people didn't watch it. It was something, if I'm not mistaken, it went straight to DVD, but it was actually considered as a part of it was a
The
part of
actual storyline. Yeah.
the story, right?
Mhm.
All I know is the last movie, Riddick. I like that one because what's her face from Battlestar Galactica shows her tits.
Oh, Katie
Oh,
Sackhoff.
Yes.
Oh, she
no.
she flashes him. Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's a shower scene.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh,
You slide
my.
on.
Yes.
I see.
Well, if you got him, flaunt him.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And honestly, that's the only way I'm ever going to see him anyway. So,
right.
Well, that's the only way you're going to see him.
Yeah, well, she's a lesbian, so it's not likely,
Oh.
even if I did meet her, that.
Oh,
that-
she is? I didn't know that.
She's got a girlfriend.
Who? Katie Sackhoff?
Uh
I thought she was married to this dude.
huh. Let me look. Maybe I'm thinking of the other one.
Yeah, She. If I'm not mistaken, because she has a YouTube channel. Last time I looked, she was happily married to this guy.
Mm-hmm.
But then I haven't looked at her channel like in the last year or two. So if something happened to where now she's doing some extracurricular stuff.
Robin Gadsby is her husband. It looks like her husband.
Oh,
They're
yeah,
married.
I was thinking of the other one from the DC TV show on CW. What's her face? I
Oh,
can't even think. The one who plays Black Canary. That's not Black Canary. It's White Canary.
oh, okay.
Boo, CW.
Yeah, which one is that? What's her actress's name?
Man, when you said those two letters, man, I completely drew a blank. CW, you're like, yup. I was like,
Katie
I'm so-
Lotz.
I'm sorry about that. Who?
Katie Lotz.
Okay,
I'm
that's
assuming that's how it's spelled. Yeah. This one.
Oh,
Let me share this here.
Get
Uh-oh.
him.
We
Oh,
got.
it's no, calm down. It's not like that.
Oh.
You stumped Baron. What's up, low spec?
So was New Bomb. We were both stumped. So there.
Here. I'll share
Evan
that.
Fisher. Huh. Oh, Dildo took off.
Oh, he had to go out and walk the puppy, but he's listening to us. So
Oh, that's what's
Yeah.
up, man.
yeah. So
Right.
Buzzman will be back. We haven't gotten rid of him yet.
Oh no, man.
I brought up the picture if you want to share it.
Share it.
Hmm.
Oh, Phantom Hooligans. Hey, how's it going there, Cash Monet?
Phantom Hooligans, y'all.
Yep.
Low spec links laptop.
Actually,
Said,
I said that.
Her.
Pitch Black and Chronicles of Riddick are good. The other one after that, which is Riddick, that's the one you're
Yeah.
talking about. He said that one sucks. You didn't like Riddick? Oh shit! I mean, a lot of people like. The thing is, the thing that makes another thing that's kind of interesting is the actual budgets for all these Riddick movies are pretty low.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so basically, when they take the movie into the box office, man, they fucking killing it, man. And for some reason, people love Vin Diesel. I don't particularly care for the anti-hero thing,
Mhm.
but I can kind of see where he can kind of humanize with certain situations. But I just want to see the raw, crazy motherfucker from Pitch Black. I miss Pitch
Yeah.
Black, Riddick.
Mhm.
This nice guy Riddick, or like I could say, I could see him. Basically, what happened?
Oh, I took it off.
Oh,
Sorry.
You talking about Kumbaya, Riddick?
yeah. It's just I want to see more of the badass that was like sipping in the dark and
Mhm.
doing all that cool shit that we saw in Pitch Black. Like
Right.
Pitch Black is the shit, man. Pitch Black is one hell of a fucking movie. I love Pitch Black, man. Pitch Black is a good fucking it's like
Suspense horror.
It's like a horror slash sci-fi movie, man. And
Mhm.
the graphics still hold up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty decent movie, man.
I mean, as it goes, I don't care what the budget is. It's what do you do with what you got and how you do it. That's the important thing. And I don't. I'm tired of seeing. Oh, we spent $500 million making this film. Why? It sucks.
Right.
It stinks. But yeah, I mean, and that's
Weasel was a funny gag in the movie. Yeah, the Weasel was funny, man. It was a funny gag.
Gagging on the Weasel. You.
No, I mean he was just a.
I know. I'm just being my typical a-hole self. You know me.
Yeah, I mean, I find it funny that they used him as a throwaway in Suicide Squad, and now they're gonna make him a regular. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. That's what's up. This is Cash Money. What's up, Cash Money? Shit.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple other movies and or IPs in the list that I was just like, why? Like, I know a lot of people like Booster Gold.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not one of them. I think he's a trash character.
I always found that he worked best when he was paired up with Booster Gold, at least in the beginning, back in the 80s there, when you had Justice League International and stuff.
Wait,
I mean,
you mean when Booster Gold was paired up with Blue Beetle?
Yeah, back in the 80s.
No.
Justice League International.
I know. You said I like Booster Gold when he was paired up with Booster Gold.
Oh, I did say that? Okay, don't mind me. I'm old and senile. Don't mind me, everybody.
Nah, you're good, man. That's why I was like, wait a minute. Nah.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I mean,
if you look at the list of what he's planning, like, I get Brave and the Bold. It makes sense. You get the Bat Family going, hopefully appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
But they picked the Robin that, not even just the Robin that had the most difficult time getting popularity, but you picked him at his worst.
Mm-hmm.
Damian in The Brave and the Bold is a murderous little bastard. Now, eventually, over the storyline, he gets better.
Mm-hmm.
And if you read the later comics post Brave and the Bold, he's not as bad a character. But man, in that early, when they introduce him, he was just an insufferable little twat.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see Swamp Thing done well. We'll see where that goes. Waller can go fuck herself. I don't care for that character. Doesn't need a solo movie, but yet it's basically going to be Peacemaker 2, the Waller story.
I mean, it's from what I hear, his wife told him that she wanted a Waller series.
Why?
And because she's a part of Peacemaker, she's in the Peacemaker show. So basically, her character, the fact that he's putting Peacemaker, like, I don't know why Amanda Waller would team up with Peacemaker. When she has the rest of the Suicide Squad, she wanted to team up with anybody. She'd have a whole slew of fucking villains left or right that would do her government bidding as a part of the group to fucking team up with. But hey, James Gunn is doing Peacemaker. Let's put him in there with his wife, and I heard that she was the one that was like, hey, let's do an Amanda Waller story. That way we can keep this whole Peacemaker, all this shit going. And there you go, man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and in the TV show, most of the support cast for Peacemaker is Waller's employees or are Waller's employees. So, okay, whatever. I still don't like the character, and I don't think it's even worthy of a solo movie.
No.
Paradise Lost. What if Wonder Woman wasn't around? It's Mm,
You know,
Mhm.
like I said before, with the whole Paradise Lost thing, the thing with that is this: they want to do it as a Game of Thrones style. The thing is, Game of Thrones is not the. It shouldn't
no.
be the idea, of how to put the show together. They should be looking
Mhm.
more at Clash of the Titans.
There we go.
And
Right.
the
Yeah,
reason
because
why,
it's the
because
right
if you know
background.
anything about Paradise Island, Themyscira, they deal with
Mhm.
Yeah.
nothing but mythology.
Right.
Actually, the reason why they went to Paradise Island, because if you know anything about the Amazons, they were enslaved by Hercules.
Mhm.
Right.
And then, so, uh my goodness, Wonder Woman's mother had to like raise up and break free of of his ass and take everybody, all the women off, away from him, because he was doing nothing but making them slave. He was fucking them down, doing all kind of bullshit.
Mhm.
And she had to break away from him. I heard she hurt him real bad, to the point where he couldn't uh chase him. But the thing is like they had to get away from him, so they went to Paradise Island and made it invisible to keep
Right.
away from men and people like Hercules, because he was the one that enslaved all the women, all the Amazons.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I don't
that's some
know.
Wonder
I
Woman
mean,
comic book. So
right.
Mhm.
But I mean, without
yeah,
without Wonder Woman being part of it, okay, so
I
it's an
mean,
Amazon movie, effectively.
right. And I mean, again, they can do it to the point where they don't have to be fucking, stop jocking, fucking Game of Thrones and shit, and Lord of the Rings. I mean, dude, Paradise Island and all that shit is just as old. To be honest, like all that Amazon Wonder Woman shit is just as old as fucking uh well, a little older than Tolkien. Tolkien's probably came out first, but the thing is, it has its own, like, the history of it and everything. It has its own world building, to the point
Mhm.
where, but everything deals with Zeus and Mercury and all these other gods. I mean, dude, there's so much with Medusa. There's so much you can do with everything. All you have to do is bring the heat with all the gods. And if
Mhm.
if it's a prequel to show how Paradise Island came to be, all the way up to probably the last episode or the last season will be, probably Wonder Woman as a little girl.
Mhm.
We already
Well,
seen that.
Yeah, but I
yeah.
mean, but I could see it going to that point, or probably, to the point where she's not really into too much, because they don't want to, give too much away about her before you actually see her as a hero. Or maybe they might just
Right.
do it as you might see her doing like a coming of age.
Mhm.
Well, he didn't
Probably.
say that she was going to be involved in the story.
I don't think she is.
Mhm.
So you're probably going to have a pre Wonder Woman Themyscira. It might even lead up to the creation of Princess Diana.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Right.
Mhm. Well,
Right.
the one thing I'm hoping about when they're saying, Games of Thrones like, I'm hoping it's just a generalization they're throwing out there for people to, who, again, we're talking about people who are not fully familiar with all that, to go,
Right.
oh, yeah, I know Game of Thrones. Oh, this will be good. And they don't necessarily go that way, but it's like, how many times they have some, oh, it's going to be like this, but it's not really like that. It's just enough to try to grab people's interest. I'm hoping that's what they're going to do, and not go the George R. R. Martin way. I mean, we
Right.
just don't need that. Um, you have enough stuff as it is to.
Right. I mean, they're probably going to lean back on the whole superpowers that Amazons have and whatnot. It'll be more political based, not current politics, but politics of the island, so to speak.
Mhm.
Because I mean, really, if
Right.
you break Game of Thrones down, it's everybody's fighting for the crown.
Right.
So you may have factions within the Themyscira that are all fighting for control. It could be like that.
You know, actually, if they wanted to really just fucking do it right, they could start it off with Hercules having control of all the Amazons.
Mm-hmm.
So now,
If you really want to fucking square it off and see, well, how the fuck did this paradise lost? Basically, because the reason why they even call it paradise, because there was no Thermos, it was Paradise Island.
Mm-hmm.
right.
So basically, you want to start it off. Hercules is fucking. He has all the Amazons enslaved, or you can just show how Hercules enslaved the Amazons, and then have it, give it a episode.
The only thing I wonder about that is,
Like, you're watching Hercules. He's a fucking monster, and then by episode, probably middle of episode 2 or 3, they break away. The big fight happens. They break away, and by the end of the season, they're getting the fuck out of there, and they're going to that island, and the last scene is that they make the fucking island invisible.
Mm-hmm.
Show the fucking struggle, man. If you're gonna show the rise of the Amazons, show how they got captured. Show what the not all the rape and shit, but show.
everybody
That's
gets worked up.
Yeah.
And the chicks that were under her, they all came together and fucking broke free and escaped his imprisonment and went to Paradise Island.
Well, now I have a question here.
Sure.
What are the rights for Hercules? Who actually owns the rights?
Who owns the rights to Greek gods?
Well, and that's kind of where I'm getting at, because you're going to get Hercules in Marvel.
Well, I remember DC did have comic books. I don't know if you ever heard of the Son of Arak. Arak. It was an old DC comic back when they were coming out with Warlord comic books. Remember Warlord, DC Warlord?
Yep.
Now, if you remember DC Warlord, he was like Conan the Barbarian.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He had a white mustache, white goatee, and he had like a helmet like Thor's, with wings.
Right.
He was built with a sword. His name was Warlord. And back
was
back
that
then,
them sidestepping ownership, so to speak? Like he
so
we know
basically
he's
like
Hercules, but he's not called that?
Right, because so basically with Warlord and everything else, they had if you look at how DC has their mythology, like everything pertaining to like Zeus and everything else, they have Heracles.
Okay.
You know who Heracles is?
No.
Heracles.
Yeah, no, I
Hercules.
don't know.
You want to look it up?
Is it Hercules?
Yeah, it's a different. It's like instead of calling him Hercules, they called him Heracles. Like that's actually another name for Hercules.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to look at it from like, whether it's like Norse mythology or Greek mythology.
Mm-hmm.
Odin, Zeus.
Right, because, but the reason I bring it up is because Marvel also has that.
Right,
And-
but see, Marvel has Hercules, and DC
Right,
had
the
Heracles.
actual name.
Right. So you're right. I mean, but Heracles is actually Hercules as well.
Mm-hmm. It's like
Even
like
from,
you
even from hundreds of years ago.
it's like you were saying, it's Odin, Wotan, the different ways of saying Odin,
Zeus.
and then
Yes,
Zeus,
but between
Jove,
like between Odin and Zeus, when it comes to mythology, you have a lot of the people that were the exact same person, but they had two different names.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, for Zeus is Jupiter or Jove. And let's see, you have Hermes or Mercury. You have
Yeah,
Ares
exactly.
or Mars. Mhm.
Right. So let me ask you
So-
this: you don't see anything with Hercules and Heracles?
I do.
Well, I've never come across it.
Oh, you
I
seen that
don't have
before,
any-
Baron?
Yeah, a long time ago. My forte isn't necessarily Greek Roman mythology, but yeah, I've seen
Right.
something like that. Yeah, because there's because you had a little bit of difference between between Roman and Greek. Basically, a lot of the stuff were the same, but names were changed to protect the innocent. You might say some did, however, remain the same between the two, and then there were some that was primarily just for either Rome or for Greece. But yeah,
Right.
Heracles or whatever. Yeah.
So that's so that's the thing. Like with DC and them, and so it might even be a thing that they might not even change the actual origin of
Yeah.
how they even got to the island or why they're even there, because of the simple fact that they just introduced Hercules in this last Thor movie.
Right, and if DC wants to call him Hercules, there's nothing that Marvel can say because, again, that's a Roman. Then are you going to go after Hercules: The Legendary Journeys, and what about all the other Hercules films?
Yeah, it's like it's like saying, "Hey, we got a character called God, sue us."
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mhm.
Like, what can you do at that point?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
No, I figured it was what do they call that? When an IP goes up into non-ownership status, if you will.
Right.
Right. Yeah. It's.
Oh, you mean when it's basically something that's open to the public for
Right.
Yeah, I mean something like Hercules or Heracles. I mean, shit, you can't trademark or copyright that. You can't do no,
because it was a religious character in a way.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, it's just like the most of the Sherlock Holmes story. They're now in public domain, except for his last book. I think it goes within like about 100 years or so. Then it starts going to the public domain.
Right.
Anybody can do Sherlock Holmes. I mean, if Marvel did Sherlock Holmes and DC did Sherlock Holmes,
right.
There's nothing that would stop. It just are they copying the story?
Right. Or like Robin Hood.
Yeah.
It's also based on the original IP creator or owner. If they haven't done anything in X amount of time with said character, then it hits that 100 years and goes free for all. And that's one of the things that Marvel is banking on with the rights,
but
Hulk and all this other shit. They're basically hoping that, is it Universal or who has the rights to distribution?
Oh, for Hulk?
Yeah,
I think it is Universal.
Okay, so they're waiting on Universal to hit that breaking point, because Universal isn't gonna make a movie and then put it out, because that would just be insane. So they're banking on that time frame running out, and it's for those contracts. It's far less than 100 years. It's something
right.
Something like 14 or 20 years or something.
Well, I mean, gods and Roman, gods and something like that. Like there's nothing on those. Like that's a free for all for anybody to write about whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's just you might not be able to. Okay, do you remember when Lou Ferrigno did Hercules?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, twice.
You got early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He did 2 Hercules movies.
Mm-hmm.
Now, would you consider him being Marvel's Hercules?
No, I don't
No.
consider that to be attached to.
I mean,
any of
but
the
he had the mustache, the goatee. He looked the part.
Yeah, he did actually, more so than Kevin Sorbo.
Right, exactly. But then Kevin Sorbo looks more like DC's Heracles, with no mustache, no goatee, but he had like little curly hair, and he had more of the like the suit that Persis was wearing in Clash of the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine something like that on a big old built dude with curly hair and like a little it's like I even owned the action figure. They had an action figure of that DC line of Warlord. They had look, I had the Warlord action figure, I had Heracles from DC, and I also had the Son of Arik.
Ooh.
So if you guys know who the Son of Arik is, that's an old DC property from like the 70s, late 60s, early 70s, where they were having still a lot of cowboys and Indians kind of thing going on, and they kind of put all that stuff together, and like so I had Warlord, I had Heracles, and if I'm not mistaken, Heracles came with a walking stick.
Okay.
I bought I owned it. I bought it. I had Heracles. So, the fact that DC did put out a Heracles action figure back in the early 80s, it's there, man, and it's already a part of their it's like every time they've like giving another example, they had a big DC crossover back in it had to be like 1987, 1988. If anybody remembered anything about DC, they had a thing called War of the Gods, and it was where all the old gods from Olympus and all that, they decided to say, you know what, humanity don't believe in us anymore. Fuck it, we're about to step down off of Olympus and show these motherfuckers that we're real. And they came on down, and the fucking Batman and Superman and everybody had to fight. Like Flash is fucking running against Mercury, and he was running against both of the gods. Mercury and the other one that's fast.
Hermes.
So it's Hermes and Mercury running against the Flash, Wally West.
Yep.
And it was chaotic like that. You got Heracles fighting. You have Zeus. You have all these other gods, and then you have like you have Minotaurs showing up. You have all this shit, and actually that storyline went through the whole DC universe. So it wasn't something that was just a Wonder Woman based thing. But then when you looked at War of the Gods, you see Wonder Woman front and center with her war armor on. So she had a shield, she had a helmet, she had a fucking axe that she had raised in the sky with like a sword on her leg with her golden lasso. And and that was the thing that brought Shazam to the forefront for DC a little bit more, because he's a part of all these gods. So you had Wonder Woman, you had Shazam, and then you had everybody, caught in the middle. So you had Tim Drake and Batman trying to deal with that shit. It was some shit. Like, you guys, if you haven't seen it, it's pretty interesting, man. But DC already has their own version, I guess, to say that they have their own version of these Greek, Norse, mythology, Roman gods, and they can actually do what they want with them, man. And actually, that's where Paradise Island and the Amazon, they all come from that. So why would you do it? Why would you downplay it and say, hey, we're going to do this Game of Thrones style? What are you talking about? And then the fact that Wonder Woman's been around for so long, and she has what a good 70, 80 years or more of history.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Dude.
I assume at some point he's going to get around to Wonder Woman. The idea of putting this pre-Wonder Woman story together should only lead to one end, which is the creation of Wonder Woman.
Right.
And I'm assuming since they're doing the Creature Commandos in World War II, that this would be set prior to World War II.
Yeah, I mean, by centuries. I mean, yeah, I would think so too.
Yeah. It only makes sense.
It'd be interesting, needless to say.
Well, do we need another Game of Thrones type show?
No. Well, I don't think it's going to be a Games of Thrones. I think they're just using that to, they're just kind of throwing out to get people interested in it.
The description that he gave is, this drama focuses on the genesis and political intrigue of an island of all women.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I mean, the political intrigue part I had mentioned before. I could see them doing it in a similar vein, but it's only gonna work for so long. You're not gonna get like 8 seasons out of this shit.
Mm-hmm. No, not at all.
If it goes 2 seasons or maybe 3, again, it all depends on how popular it is.
Yeah, if Gunn actually knows what he's doing about this. I mean, again, the big thing is not to try to copy the Marvel way, and that's the big thing. Will he be able to divorce himself from that?
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know. You when you're building a universe, which is effectively what he's doing, you do have to tie some of this shit together.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just telling random ass stories out of nowhere.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong with tying it together, but I mean, these overarching takes multiple years until you get to the payoff thing. Is that's what I'm saying. I mean, there should be. It should be cohesive, but it doesn't need to be like, okay, so we're going to watch, you have to watch this film, then you'll have to watch that film, then you're going to have to watch this film, then you're going to have to watch that film, and in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, we're going to pay it off, and then we're going to start all over again and have the MCU.
Well, the only problem I have with how some of the villains were treated, like you have one or the other. You either have a villain that's going to be lingering around for a number of movies, or you have a one-shot villain that disappears.
Mm-hmm.
And in many cases, those one-shot villains that they do had a far longer shelf life in the comics than they did in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They're these one-and-done crap. Like, you're going to run into issues either direction. Either you're taking a really good villain and shoving them down the toilet after one movie, or you're dragging them out to make them more significant. And you have to do that across multiple movies. You can't get the same thing. Like, there has to be some sort of, like with Thanos, you had to create an extremely dire situation. That means the heroes have to lose at least once.
Right.
And in many cases, it was more than once. You have to build that onus to, like, okay, he is the big bad.
Right.
For this section of time. And the only way to do that is to drag that character out. Like, you can't make him so destructive in one movie and then immediately the next movie he's defeated because it's like, was he really that big and bad if he got defeated in 2 movies?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then you look at like, you know, the first Ant-Man and what was the bad guy's? No, it wasn't Wasp. Yellow Jacket.
Yellow Jacket, yeah.
Right. They flushed him in that movie. Now they're going to bring him back as MODOK, which makes absolutely no fucking sense. Because they had to create a MODOK out of somewhere instead of following the original story, and MODOK was a scientist. I don't know. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't, basically.
Yeah. I suppose so. It's going to be a tricky thing for him to do this. It really is, and we're not even throwing in superhero fatigue, which I think we are starting to get.
Supergirl.
Yeah. Well, when
superhero fatigue.
Yeah. Oh. Superhero fatigue. Yeah. Just the genre in general. The problem is when you try to put so much out, you're almost speeding that process up. You're flooding the market, so to speak, to where it's like, wait, which is this character? What are we watching? Who's involved? Wait, I thought that guy was that guy. Now he's this guy. And you create confusion when it's unnecessary. And I mean, I get it with trying to do this stuff in live action. People don't live forever. They don't stay 20-something forever.
Right.
So you have to plan obsolescence of a character because the human counterpart that's portraying them is going to get old.
Right.
You know, which doesn't happen in the comics. You can write them forever and the same person.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's why things like Dark Knight Returns and various others were kind of refreshing because you were seeing an older Bruce Wayne Batman. Of course, you also have with 2000 AD with Judge Dredd. Every year that goes by in the real world goes by in the comic world. So that character is growing old, and people are facing aging crises in there.
Right. Yeah, it's a planned obsolescence. At some point, you have to kind of rotate characters in and out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, let me ask y'all this. Just curious. Did you really like, was there anything like in that whole announcement of that you guys thought that was good?
Honestly, the only things that I would bother watching,
right?
I mean, like the kind of third tier heroes like the Authority and Creature Commandos, I would watch out of curiosity,
right? Not
necessarily as a fan of said characters. Swamp Thing, I personally like Swamp Thing, so I do want to see that. I want to see how they interpret that. I've said my piece on Waller. I've said my piece on Booster Gold. But they are doing a Blue Beetle movie, so you may end up having that crossover in Booster Gold. Who knows?
Do you think they'll go the Alan Moore way with Swamp Thing?
Yeah.
What does it say?
I think so.
Yeah, they didn't announce anything specifically. I would assume they.
Well, from what I've gathered, James Gunn is a hell of an Alan Moore fan.
Yeah.
So basically, like Alan Moore, Garth Ennis,
who I don't think is that good.
No. Well, I mean, but it's like those kind of writers,
right?
Is what he's into. So of course, he's pulling stories from
that era.
From their runs in DC.
and that's going to be interesting to see, being that because both Garth Ennis and Alan Moore are very anti-hero. They don't believe in heroes. They,
Which is
you know,
completely ironic that they ended up writing comics.
yeah, exactly, and going into the superhero, realm.
Right.
So, I mean,
Yep.
yeah,
The only thing they say about Swamp Thing is that it will investigate the dark origins of Swamp Thing. So, I mean, you're going back to early 70s comic runs of Swamp Thing at that point. I don't know if Alan
Right.
Moore was part
Yeah.
of that. I don't think
No.
he showed up until later.
Yeah, that was
yeah, the 80s, I think, for Alan.
Yeah.
right. No, but like in the 70s, that was Bernie Wright that created Swamp Thing.
Okay, so they're probably going to lean a lot of that storyline on
Right,
that.
and because he was more of like that pulp horror,
Mhm.
but of course, he's a scientist that his experiment kind of
backfires.
right, and he ends up becoming one with with nature and plants and shit like that, and of course, there's a like a pulp horror element to it. That's kind of like the same thing of that had Man-Thing. People interested in him back in the day when
Yeah.
back in the 70s. Man-Thing was that pulp horror kind of thing. And if you ever watched the Man-Thing movie, it was a Marvel Knight movie that came out, if I'm not mistaken, it was around 2006. They had Marvel Knight live action movies, and one of them was the Man-Thing movie, which I own because I own a few hundred comic book movies and cartoons and stuff like
Right.
that. So I do have a collection of that, and I own that. And that was where, if you guys ever seen the Punisher movie, Punisher Warzone was a part of the same series.
Oh yeah.
Right. So that's so basically when they came out with that Punisher Warzone movie, they came out with the Man-Thing movie, and that Man-Thing movie was more of a horror movie. And like look, the first 10 minutes, there was a guy and a girl in the boat fucking, going, it looks like there was in Louisiana going in like a little swamp, and then all of a sudden fucking Man-Thing's he murders both of them, and they didn't do shit. So he basically did like what Jason would have done, but it's Man-Thing, and it looked exactly like what you saw in Werewolf by Night. It's the same, it was more of a CGI, but it was a lot of people didn't like it. Thought it was interesting. It was, Swamp Thing that murders. I was like, shit, all right, I've never seen any, I remember reading the comic books, but I've never seen anything of Man-Thing in any kind of cartoon. So to see that kind of interpretation of Man-Thing in a live action movie, and if you guys never, it's a Marvel Knight movie called Man-Thing, and it's the same character that you see in Werewolf by Night, and he had his own live action movie back in, if I'm not mistaken, it's around 2006, and I own it. So it's sitting right here in front of me in my superhero box of movies. So, like I said, if they want to sit there and Swamp Thing was never as horrifying, as Swamp Thing. Well, actually, he was, because I remember reading Swamp Thing comic books that, when it came to like bad people doing bad shit, Swamp Thing would do some real heinous shit to him.
Yeah.
But then Swamp Thing wasn't known for harming good people.
No.
Right. I mean, I always seen that character as almost an extension of Gaia or Mother Earth. Like he was very protective of the Earth as a whole, and a lot of his anti-hero-ness was fighting, people or companies that were destroying the Earth in some way.
Right. Yeah, I to be honest, I seen Swamp Thing to be that more of a what you're talking about,
Yeah.
more into the mid-late 80s.
Yeah, especially with the movies and the TV show. Because
Right.
you had the,
But it was like from the beginning, he was just like a swamp monster type motherfucker that, it was an experiment, but then he's out and people are trying to hunt him down and he's scaring folks and he's dealing with all kind of shit in between. It's,
Yeah.
but then as far as like him being one with the earth and all this other shit, like when he got to get into his Captain Planet phase, that was more into the 80s, man. And I remember that he was more eco-friendly as
I think it's when you started getting more influence in there more.
right. And then all of a sudden the TV show comes out and he's like, yes, don't pollute in the swamp. I remember he used to have his he was the actor. So, come on, it's like,
Yep.
At some point Swamp Thing was actually the Captain Planet of DC, because you would see him come out and don't pollute and save the world and let's let's green energy and all kinds of other shit. You would see Swamp Thing being the DC spokesperson of all kind of eco shit and help the environment and all this other stuff. You would see him and then you would see like Superman on like Earth Day and shit like that. But you would see Swamp Thing for all the environmental shits.
Yep.
Yeah. Well,
I remember those commercials.
It was a product of its time frame. I mean, that's
right.
As a nation, that's where our mindset was at. So they played into it, and knowing that kids are going to be watching these things,
right?
That they wanted to put a positive message out there.
Right. He was DC Smokey the Bear and shit.
Yeah.
Right. Honestly, to make him anything other than a villain, you'd almost have to give him something to fight for.
Yeah, that was
I mean, it wasn't the worst thing in the world. I've seen far worse when they've taken villains and tried to make them anti-heroes, and it's just like
right.
It didn't work.
But then like I say, I own some Swamp Thing comic books, and it's fucking cool because I got a Bernie Wright autograph, not that easy to come across, knowing that he's passed away, what I'm saying, and but he's the creator of Swamp Thing, and when he actually created Swamp Thing back in the day, it was coming off on some more like I say, that pulp horror, but it wasn't Swamp, like, I don't know, it was weird because Swamp Thing wasn't just like some murderous, like Man Thing was more of a murderous kind of like if he killed you, he'll turn you into like bones and shit, like he would suck the meat off of your shits, and it was like so it's different between him and
nope, no, that's not good.
He would save the day. He was more of a hero, but he wouldn't mind fucking you up or killing you if he had to. But it wasn't his bottom line. He wasn't out there trying to like mow down every bad guy. So it's a different thing. Man Thing didn't give a shit. If you was in front of him, he just wanted to kill you and get the fuck whatever his intentions were. He was on his way. But it's a difference between him and Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing, Swamp Thing is actually a real person, so he has some kind of understanding. He wasn't just a swamp monster. So that's a difference with that.
Right.
But that's but it'll be good to see Swamp Thing come back, man. On whatever which way they decide to do it. And actually, the old show that they had a few years ago was actually pretty good. The whole problem with that, if anybody ever watched it, it was out on HBO Max about 2-3 years ago, and the only issue with that, the only issue with that was, if I'm not mistaken, halfway through the actual season of the cast and crew recording, if I'm not mistaken, the pandemic was coming in or whatever, and they found out that the show was getting canned, and And some changes were happening in the middle, and basically, from what I understood, people stopped giving a shit halfway through, and you can kind of tell how like the quality of it kind of fell off by the time you got to the last episode.
Right.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of shit that happened halfway through the season, all the way to the end of the season, that you can kind of feel the whole course correction as you watched it. But the thing is, you saw the potential that it had until whatever went south. Like I said, it was the pandemic. They along with J.J. Abrams coming in, and they said he had a part to do with having the TV show canceled because he was trying to do Justice League Dark, and he was going to get Swamp Thing. So basically, he was trying to. People talk about this. Basically, what J.J. Abrams did was he started hogging up all the characters, saying, "Hey, look, I'm going to create some shit. So I'm taking Constantine, I'm taking Swamp Thing, I'm taking Zatanna, I'm taking all these fucking people, Deadman and whoever else, and can't nobody use them. If they're a part of something, it has to be canceled now because now I'm taking control of this shit." And that's what, from what I heard from Marvel and DC, there were creators that were put into power, and they started taking a lot of the IPs, but never did shit with them.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
but basically, like in development or production, it's some kind of development process. They started taking claim of characters, but years later, nothing ever happened with them.
Mm-hmm.
And it fucked up a lot of shit.
Well, and if I'm not mistaken, have they even announced what they're going to do with that contract that they had with JJ? Because they gave him a boatload of money, and then sidestepped him to put Gunn in charge. So now, what are they going to do with J.J. Abrams?
Well, actually, David Zaslav killed off all his projects.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. That was one of the first things he did last year. In the first, like, by summertime of last year, he was already fucking slicing and dicing, man.
Right.
Okay, so you still paid this dude, and now he's got nothing going on. Like, Jesus. Talk about just complete waste of money.
Yep.
Yeah, it was.
But it's a good move though to not go the JJ way. And
well, yeah,
it's like
they gave him how much money? Like 140 some million.
If I'm not mistaken, I think his contract was for about $400 or $500 million.
Oh Jesus!
To begin with, right. It was a real hefty ass fucking contract that it floored everybody. I mean, if you talk about all the videos that came out because of how much money they fucking gave him to try to come with the Black Superman and all this other shit. He was Justice League Dark. He was supposed to do so much shit, and that's why we never seen anything from Swamp Thing, because when they gave him the contract, Swamp Thing was still going, and I think that was a part of what got people sour halfway through the season is they fucking signed him up, and already they were talking about, well, just finish off what you have, and we're gonna fucking kill the Swamp Thing show. People stopped giving a fuck, and you saw it. And then we were supposed to gotten the Zatanna movie. That never happened.
Yeah.
And then it's supposed to have a Deadman movie. That never happened.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to have been all these characters from Justice League Dark. Like there's supposed to be a Madame Xanadu movie. That never happened. And then that's when they fucked over the John Constantine actor. And he was like, well, fuck it. I'm not going to. And he was the best John Constantine, better than Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
And we lost him because he was supposed to be a part of JJ shit. But so we had to scratch him, cut him loose. Same way they stopped the Swamp Thing from having a season 2. And then after after all that shit went to shit, and that's when Keanu Reeves comes in with his if we're not going to do this, then we can
another one.
Yeah, come on. Wow, man, that was
Yeah,
yeah,
I
but
don't
the
know. I mean, that actor ended up he lingered around CW for a bit, and
right.
whatever his original contract was.
Yeah, and because of the contract, they, if I'm not mistaken, they turned him into a different character.
Did they?
Yeah, it's kind of like what they did with what's his
Black
face,
Canary or
man?
whatever.
Brandon Ruth, man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, yeah, he was the Atom, and then for their Elseworlds event, he ended up also being Superman.
Right. And actually they did that with quite a few characters towards the end of all that shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, you'd be surprised, man, how they'll have
Well, I was gonna say for
these
Flash's
dude.
last season, they're supposed to do another Elseworlds thing,
Mm-hmm.
and they're bringing Stephen Amell back.
Oh, I already saw the pictures of him. I was like, wow. Did you see what Stephen Amell did when they have a video of him when they asked him about how does Green Arrow come back? He looks into the camera. He says, "Don't fucking ask me how the fuck he comes back."
Yeah, right.
And people
Have
were
you
like,
been paying
wow.
attention to any of this?
No, but I mean, but the fact that he was cursing, like, and if you looked at him, he was serious and a motherfucker too, and it was kind of shitty because people love this character, man, but for him to approach it like that, even if it's annoying.
Well, I mean, it could be, shit you're not supposed to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It could be a spoiler or something. Who knows?
Yeah, like I say, just to watch the video, I was like, wow, I seen that shit, and I seen when he said it, I was like, that's interesting, man. Why would he take that approach when people are curious? On how the fuck his Green Arrow character comes back?
Mm-hmm.
Probably because he's been asked that 1,000 times prior to that video being made. I mean, who knows? Somebody asked me the same question that many times. I think I'd get a little irritated myself.
Yeah, I mean, but I guess it's a difference if it's the same person, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't watched any of that shit. Yeah. I mean, I haven't watched any of the CW stuff in forever.
No, same here.
Oh man, you was a fan?
Early on, I mean, I like the character of Green Arrow, so I got onto that when it first started, and I like Flash as a character. So I started watching as they were crossing over.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, as they progressed, I was watching, but I stopped definitively watching Green Arrow when it became, Green Arrow and
for me it was about 3.
Yeah, which was like third, fourth season, fifth season.
Yeah, I was gonna say season 3 or 4 of both shows was when I kind of stopped, man. And then Supergirl was good until she got to the CW.
Mm-hmm.
She was good before she got there because she was on what, ABC, NBC or some shit.
Yeah, I think it was CBS actually.
CBS, right. It was one of those other stations. So she went for like the first 2 or 3 seasons on that other station, and then when she switched over to the CW, it was a wrap. I was like, yo.
Oh yeah, the writing went solid.
Oh shit, boy! At that point, man, you got Greg Berlanti going full press, and, him and his writers. Man, Greg Berlanti.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I watched because I liked I like Green Arrow too, but yeah, so I watched a little bit of that in the beginning as well, and same thing with Flash. But I kind of dropped off.
Yeah,
on that myself.
The writing got worse and worse as they tried to take it away from the main character and make it everything's about team, and then you started introducing the I didn't even mind when they brought in the sister as Black Canary. I thought that was fine because the way they wrote it made a little bit of sense, and it's like, okay, fine. But then when they started, like even early on, they were ripping Batman storylines
Right.
and putting them into Green Arrow, like the whole
And
thing
his
with
villains.
Huntress. Well, yeah, the whole thing with Huntress was literally a Batman story about Batman trying to get her to go on the straight and narrow and,
Right.
and not be, not killing people and stuff like that. And they just turned it around, and made it a Green Arrow story. I was like, that's not how this works.
No.
And then they just kept continuing to do that, pulling Batman stories out to lay into Green Arrow, and that's when the writing went south. And
Man, look, the thing is, from what I heard, was, they weren't, like, basically they were restricted from not allowing, they couldn't use Batman,
right,
or a good majority of his.
Yeah, they could only use Elseworlds Batman, and that's why
Right.
Kevin Conroy showed up. But by then it was already shit because you had what's her face.
What did you know the full story behind that?
About Kevin Conroy?
Right.
No,
Well, look. You can look it up, man. While as we talking about it, man. That was Michael Keaton, man.
Yeah, it was supposed to be that character. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, no, the thing is, Michael Keaton came in and filmed it.
Huh.
And the thing is, they filmed it, and at that time, they were getting him into the main storyline with the Flash and everything else. So they were like, "Yo, if we fucking kill him in this Crisis fucking movie, how the fuck are we going to explain him in this Flash movie?"
Yeah.
So
Well,
they
had already lost their guidance at that point, and it was
right. It's so, but that was I guess the Flash movie was the saving grace of seeing Michael Keaton, because he was going to do it.
Yeah.
And they were like, nah. So what they did was they brought in Kevin Conroy.
And just made it a different Earth.
Right, but the thing is, from what I remember Keaton. They have pictures of Keaton on the scene of when they were filming it.
Yeah.
So basically, if I'm not mistaken, they filmed it with him, and all we saw as the public, we saw pictures or whatever of him being on the set and the whole shit, and they totally they say go ahead and scrap it, keep the scene, keep the set, everything else, bring in Kevin Conroy.
Right.
And that was
Which
it. They
honestly,
they switched out the dude, but Michael Keaton already did his shit. They never used it. They were like, nah, we have bigger plans for him.
right.
Voila.
Which is still going to happen, I guess.
Right. The Flash movie. There you go. So that's basically they saved this character for something bigger. But they were about to fuck him off in that Crisis that they did on the CW. Michael Keaton, dude, anybody that's listening, Google the shit, sit there and look it up, man.
Well, yeah, because didn't they, when they were running through the different Earths in the first Crisis?
Right. They ran through. They ran through Earth. I think it was called Earth 89.
Yeah, and it was Robert Wool who was the reporter in the Keaton movie.
Because
I remember that.
Yeah, because he had looked up and they showed the bat signal up there. And he was like, "Yeah, we need you now, big guy." That's exactly what he said. He was sitting on a bench in Gotham, and the bat signal, and he looked up and he was like, "Yeah, we need you now, big guy."
All I can say is Newbomb better know who Robert Wall is.
Well, yeah, of course I do.
and then it's funny because just like maybe a scene or two later, they flash over to fucking Burt Ward and he's walking Bat Hound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
and then all of a sudden the skies go red and he looks up And I'm like, oh shit! And I think he got murked. And I'm like, I was mad as fuck. I threw my remote at the TV. Like, you motherfuckers, you showed fucking Burt Ward like he's about to get put out of his misery. I was mad as shit, man. Because
they flushed a bunch of those Earths in that whole sequence.
Did you ever watch the Birds of Prey from around 2000?
I vaguely remember it. I didn't watch it.
I own that. Do you know it's very hard to find that whole? I own the whole collection, like the box set. Like it's hard. Like they released it, and you know it's difficult to find it because it didn't sell. You know, it didn't sell well, and
yeah,
you know,
it wasn't a big
demand for them.
If I'm not mistaken, either. Yeah.
But you know, since I fuck with everything comic book related, good or bad. That's my whole motto. If you sucked or didn't suck, if I can get my hands on you, I'm taking you. So I end up getting that, and then they end up having the actress that played the Huntress from that Birds of Prey TV show. She showed up on the CW. She was a part of the Crisis, and she got killed. And matter of fact, she's that chick that she was in a lot of WWE movies.
Oh God.
It was she played the Huntress in the Birds of Prey TV show. She was I think she was with she did like The Rock that Walk Tall. I think right. I think she was in that, and I think she did one with John Cena. So she was like she was this actress that was playing like a love interest or a girlfriend to some of these WWE actors in different movies and shit. And
Ashley
she was
Scott.
Actually, there she go. Yeah, there you go, brother. She showed up on the Crisis on Infinite Earths as the Huntress because she ends up talking to her version of Barbara Gordon from the TV show. And and then she ends up getting killed. Like the whole Crisis killed her, man. So you see her die, then you see Burt Ward, and then you see then you're watching like shit from Smallville.
I find it funny that the girlfriend from Ferris Bueller's Day Off played Harley Quinn, and I guess she's retired now.
From there.
Yep. Roboting a bit.
Did we lose him?
You mean from the Birds of Prey, right?
Yeah, she was Harley Quinn from Birds of Prey.
Yeah. That I remember that. Yeah, because I remember watching that episode, man. I was like, what the fuck? You know, it's like I say, I own all that, man. I own all that shit, man. So man, boy.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, once you got past season 3 or 4 of Arrow and
in the Flash,
in the Flash, everything just kind of became convoluted.
Nothing wrong with a little convolution.
Yeah, not when it comes to writing. That's horrible.
That's true. Yeah, I was being sarcastic.
Man. So let me ask you this, man. You guys are what'd you take on Superman?
Which Superman?
I mean,
or just a character in general?
The fact that something's about to come.
Well, I don't mind the fact that Superman's coming back, but I don't think we need to do an origin story. That's just good.
Well, he said it wasn't going to be an origin story.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm just saying. I don't want an origin story, so let's go. So I mean, that's the way it's going to go.
But the funny thing is, he says this. Look, this is the whole catch-22. It's not. He said, "It's not going to be an origin story, but it's going to be the first time he meets Lois Lane." So what is that, man?
That's close to an origin story.
That is the origin story.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, it's a part of it.
If you come in at it as he's a young adult,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily a teenager, but an actual adult, say 21-ish years old in American or, Earth years, if you will. You're skipping over the crash landing on Earth, the destruction of Krypton, his
Lana
his-
Lane.
Lana Lane, the boyhood stuff where,
Right.
Right.
don't show your powers, don't show them what you're capable of, that kind of
Right.
crap.
The death of his father.
Right, the death of his father. You're skipping over a major portion of his origin.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Wait, the
okay,
death
so
of his father.
his father died when he was a teenager.
When in the movies?
In the first movie, he did.
Nah,
Yeah.
but in the comic books, his father lived. His father
No,
didn't die.
originally his
Okay.
father did die in the comics, but when they did Lois and Clark, they
No, that
had
was
him-
his father died when they did the funeral for a friend, like the death of Superman, like like right around that time.
Mhm.
His father ended up dying in comic books. Then, if I'm not mistaken, that was around is Superman issue 500.
All right, that's the one deviation that they did from his origin when they switched everything to movies. Because the first Superman with Christopher Reeve, he died as a teenager. He died when Superman was a teenager. Clark was a teenager.
Right,
And then they continued that thread every time they've told his origin in the movies.
Right. Yeah, that's what I never understood that, because in the comic books his dad was alive and kicking. So I was like, damn,
Yeah,
what? It was confusing, man.
Well, I understand it gives him a point of reflection, so to speak, and a point to make him more human, if you will.
Right.
If you make the father die younger, I understand why they did that in the first movie. Why they continue to do that? They're basing everything off of the first movie, so every time you come across that, you're gonna get the same thing. Even with the Henry Cavill Superman, it was the point before he goes on his walkabout that to find himself, so to speak. His father dies in the storm instead of having a heart attack, but it's the same concept. He dies when Henry Cavill is still in Smallville as Clark Kent,
Right.
not as Superman. They find that, and I'm making assumptions here. Obviously, I'm not one of the writers, but it gives Clark Kent almost, I don't want to say a purpose, but a reason to find his purpose when his father dies younger.
Right. But I mean, but even in when his father died in issue 500, it was like his father came back to life. He didn't. I don't know, man.
Right.
So he really didn't die.
Well, that's the hellscape that is comic books. Do any of them really die? No.
Yeah, right. And then afterwards, Superman came back.
Right. Because
so
superheroes never die.
right.
No.
It was after the whole reign of Superman and all that shit, man. Yeah, man. Because Superman died around issue 497. By issue 500, the father died.
Right.
And then after that, you see the reign of the Superman, and it was like,
right,
yeah. So it shit, Superman dies, dad is knocking on death's door, and then a whole bunch of Superman pop up, and shit, Green Lantern went, Hal Jordan. It was all kind of shit going down around that time. In comic books, man, right around the time that Superman died, it was crazy because Batman got his back broken. Aquaman, look, so Superman dies, Batman gets his back broken, Wonder Woman gets her title of being Diana gets her Wonder Woman title stripped from her and given to another Amazon. Then Hal Jordan turns into Parallax. Aquaman gets his hand eaten off. So basically, as you're looking at between 93 and 94, the whole Justice League fucking took a nosedive.
Mm-hmm.
Every member got fucked off in some way. And if I'm not mistaken, back then, 1994, oh yeah, The Flash was dealing with the return of Barry Allen storyline. That was around Flash issue number 75 when Eobard Thawne came back as a reverse Flash, you know, thinking that he was Barry Allen, going through that whole storyline. I own all that shit, man. So yeah, man. 93, 94. Boy, that was. And then the thing is, heroes were getting replaced. So basically, Superman died, and then the four Superman, Superboy, Eradicator, Steel, and the other Superman, the one that was he was a straight killer with the goggles. He was awesome as fuck though. He I forgot what they called him. He was a Superman with the shades. The Eradicator. That was who he was. Yeah. Now that motherfucker was awesome. I love the Eradicator and Cyborg. So they popped up, and then you had the replacement for Batman, Azrael, come in to be the new Batman. So at that time, and then you had it was a Terminus who took over as Wonder Woman at that time. So a Terminus became the new Wonder Woman. She was the Wonder Woman with the red hair.
Okay.
Back around 93, 94. And then Kyle Rayner came in to replace So yeah, basically the whole JLA got fucking replaced. And then when they all decided to come back, it took Batman about 2 years to come back in real life, because they had Nightfall, and then they had all the other Night's End and Night's Quest and all this other shit. You know, they had all that stuff going on. And then Hal Jordan, he didn't come back till like 15, 20 years later.
Yeah, I hated the fact that they did that. The whole Parallax thing was weird.
Oh man, that thing was that was wild. And you know, and then then you had the whole Wally West coming into his own, and then the return of Barry Allen later on.
Right.
Same thing, you know, and I mean, then with Aquaman, you know, he ends up growing the mustache, the goatees, basically what people see him today with Jason Momoa.
Right.
You know, with the harpoon in his hand. And I mean, shit. It was a wild time. And man, that was to be honest, I didn't know what the fuck was gonna happen from comic books after that, man. And then and then later on, around 97, 98, after all that shit was done and everybody came back, Superman turned blue and he was electric, and Batman, Bruce Wayne fought the mantle of the Bat, and you know, certain things came back. Wonder Woman, Diana Prince became Wonder Woman again. Then they ended up having JLA #1 in 97, which was the full return of the Justice League, man. And it was refreshing, man. People were excited. That was written by Grant Morrison, if I'm not mistaken. It was actually pretty good. Yeah, it was actually a pretty good, decent superhero movie. And Grant Morrison didn't do nothing fucked up to him. Like he didn't destroy their characters in any way, man. Like he didn't like after you read his run of that first Justice League from 97, when you got like Clark Kent and everybody back, it was like it was good to see him back again, man. You know, in some form of capacity. Of course, you had Wally West and you had Kyle Rayner, but then you still had everybody else, man. Martian Manhunter, Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman, Aquaman. It was good to see everybody back, man. All 7 original Justice League members. As far as their, like I said, the only 2 that were different was Green Lantern and the Flash, and it was a hell of a run, man. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Grant Morrison, he wrote it for a good maybe 5 years, 4 or 5 years. He wrote it.
Okay.
He didn't write just 1 year or a few issues. He wrote it for a good minute.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys never read, Grant Morrison's run of Justice League, when they actually decided to unite the team in over, like, if I'm not mistaken, almost 15 years. Right. It was good to see him back, man, and it was a good run. Didn't mean to get all comic book with everybody, but
well, we're kind of talking about comic books,
right.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of it all, I know what comes later.
Mm-hmm.
New 52, and then Rebirth.
Exactly. Yeah. That's true. Yeah, you're right about that. That comes. There's a lot of things in between that. It was, Infinite Crisis in Time. There was all kind of stuff in between, and then that one was that was the worst of all the reboots, man. The New 52. Out of everything that I've seen, like from 0 Hour, Armageddon 2001, War of the Gods, Crisis on Infinite Earths, there were so many crossovers throughout the years. Nothing was like the New 52, man.
Right. Yeah. A lot of people were not happy with the New 52.
Matter of fact, the New 52 was it was a tough one, man. They only had a handful of good stories, and everything else was bad. But it's fucked up because that's what the DC EU is based off of. The new 52 version of all the characters is what we got in the DC EU. Mm-hmm. Why? Because Jeff Johns created the New 52, and after he did that, he got promoted to run DC Films. So he was basically the James Gunn and the Peter Safran of fucking DC Films after he did the New 52. And he took his New 52 and he greenlit the New 52 version of Shazam, which is what we got now. The Justice League, along with the Man of Steel, that's the Superman that we got now with no trunks.
Yep.
Right.
The Wonder Woman, Xena Warrior Princess that we got with the sword and the shield and the when she jumps in the air and all this other shit. That's what we got. Mm-hmm. The fact that Cyborg is a part of the Justice League, which is a no-no, because he's a part of the team. So he's a part of the Teen Titans. Why would you take him out of the Teen Titans to make him a part of the Justice League? Who knows? But that was a promotion that he it's like when the New 52 started, he knew he was never a part of the Teen Titans. He was just he jumped into superheroes and became a Justice League member.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and it threw it all off.
Well, and a lot of the New 52 also, pardon me, destroyed prior storylines that people liked because they flushed that whole timeline out. And it was like,
Yeah. So basically, you wipe the slate clean, you try to rebuild it all. And again, Batman had good storylines, Justice League had good storylines. Because you had the Dark Side War and all that other shit. Justice League had some good shit in the New 52. They had some good writing. The Green Lantern, like the War of the Lanterns and all that, you get to find out that they have the Rainbow Lanterns.
Yeah,
the red lanterns, the orange lanterns, the purple ones, all the storylines that went through all that shit. along with like Brightest Day, Darkest Night, like all those,
Yep.
all the Green man, dude, they got so much good history from Green Lantern during the New 52. You got good storylines that happened in a fucked up era of comics.
Right.
So basically, it was Green Lantern had some good shit. Aquaman had some good stories.
Mhm.
So Green Lantern, Aquaman, Wonder Woman had some. Justice League had some good stuff, and that was it.
There was good crossover.
And I think there was maybe one or two other titles that had some good stuff. Everything else was trash. It's funny because right around 2016, if I'm not mistaken, 2016, 2017, they killed off the New 52 Superman. He ended up getting killed.
Yeah. Well, then they went through Rebirth.
Well, the thing is come to find out was, the whole story behind that was when the New 52 was happening and the Flash was like, but this is what it is. When Flash was trying to fix Flashpoint, I'm gonna take it from the beginning. When Flashpoint was happening, and Flash fucked up everything, and he tried to fix the whole timeline after everything, and he tried to get it back to its original state. Dr. Manhattan stepped in.
Yeah, and I didn't like that either.
And basically turned it into the New 52. So from there, you get to figuring out, well, the New 52 version of Superman isn't the Superman that we grew up watching. Like the Superman that we know and love. Basically, Dr. Manhattan took him, Lois Lane, Wally West, Kid Flash, and Wally West, and basically threw them outside of time. Threw them outside of they threw them into another existence.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So basically, in that other existence that our Clark Kent that we grew up watching, Christopher Reeve Superman, like his version of Superman was somewhere else in another dimension, I guess, trying to fight his way back to Earth. So what happens in that other dimension? He ends up getting Lois Lane pregnant, and that's how she ends up having Jonathan Kent, because he didn't do it on Earth, and he didn't do it basically like he did it he did it basically somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like Jonathan wasn't born on Earth, and Jonathan wasn't born in our dimension.
Mm-hmm.
He was born completely somewhere else, and I think that's how they were able to pull off Superman, Clark Kent getting Lois Lane pregnant, because under normal Earth circumstances, he probably would have blew her back out. Yeah, probably when he came, it probably would have been a shotgun through her shit.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't they addressed that though at some point?
Yeah, but if you think about it, probably in another dimension will probably be physics or a little different. Is where you could come off with a story that, hey, in another dimension, Clark Kent got Lois Lane pregnant, and they come through all that shit with Jonathan Kent, and that's exactly what they did.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and a lot of this comes down to, I mean, yes, we read the stories and we follow the path that they lead.
Right.
But when it comes to writing, they're fucking lost.
Yeah.
So, like, what are we going to do next? Oh, let's go this direction. We're purely dependent on whichever writer they assign to any given character. And it shows, obviously, more so now when you get all these, like, Jonathan having a boyfriend and all this other shit.
Oh, man.
Right?
Yeah.
It's all of these agenda-based storylines that now we're effectively stuck with. And damn well nobody's ever going to New 52 any of those storylines or Rebirth any of those storylines. because God forbid they get labeled as a ism or an ist or whatever. So now you're just stuck with it. That's the end of it. And it's, if at some point in time, and I just don't think this is going to happen, but if at some point in time DC as a property gets sold away from Warner Brothers, or even just the comic side of things gets sold away,
Right.
it's going to take a serious individual with a whole lot of go fuck yourself behind him to reset all of this shit and say, you know what? Let's get back to basics. Somebody who's not going to care what Twitter thinks and is not going to care what TikTok thinks and is not going to give a shit about the Zoomers who got dicks in their mouths or whatever. And unfortunately, these properties are to the point where if somebody does buy them away from where they're currently at, it's only going to get worse, not better.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like how what I just heard, like between yesterday and today, is Disney's gonna lease out their characters or some shit.
Oh, on the comic book side,
I don't know if it's comic books. I don't know if it's movies, but I heard that.
I think it's comic book side. If
Man,
it's the thing that I heard then it's the comic book side.
But I mean, just the fact that something like that's happening, it's like,
well, it proves that they're not selling comic books.
right.
At the end of all this shit that they say, oh no, comics are fine. No, they're not. For very definitive proof, go to your local comic book store, and you can tell, like, okay, what's your bestseller here? Just ask if the person behind the counter is the owner, you get more definitive answer. But ask them, what's the best-selling thing you have in your store? If they say anything other than anime, they're full of shit. And if they say anime, they're hurting, and they realize it.
Right.
Somebody had posted on Twitter the other day, their local comic book store is closing. And they're like 75% off of everything in the store. And he had pictures of the anime section, which was empty shelves, completely empty. And then he had an image of Marvel, DC,
back stock and issues and shit.
Right, and they're full. Nobody's buying them.
No.
Even at a 75% discount, they can't get them off the fucking shelves.
Yeah, I saw that. The Warhammer stuff is gone. The manga, anime,
everything
all gone. Yeah, and then
the comic books.
Yeah, DC, Marvel, boom. It's like, they can't give it away.
Right, and what's even worse is they'll have to push it down to 80 to 90% off, and then maybe you'll see some of that. Just because people will be curious, like, fuck, it's 10 cents here.
Yeah. And you know what? It's funny you say that, because that's how I got a lot of the comic books that I got that I was showing off. That I've gotten comic books of 40, 50 years old normally would go for so
fair
much
amount,
fucking money, and I was getting them for $1, $2.
Right.
And it was even fucking me up when I was getting them, and I was like getting them in mid condition, and it was just people were just trying to get them out of their warehouses and wherever they had them stored. They were just trying to it was like it was just giving them away.
Yeah, because you'd end up paying more in shipping than you would for the comic.
Well, to be honest, shipping for comic books is pretty cheap. Especially because of how they have media set up at the post office. Media gets more of a discount, which is books, graphic novels, records. Anything that's media gets a huge discount when it's being mailed. What you do is, if you have a book, comic book, or anything, and you try to mail it, you let the people know, hey, this is media.
Mhm.
They won't charge you the same way they would charge anything else.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I hate to be the person that offers up the black pill, but unless one of these big companies goes completely out of business, which their primary owners, WB and Disney, would never let happen. They'll just throw money at it.
Right.
Until one of them drops completely, nothing's going to change.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see it. There's too many people in that industry that care more for their personal beliefs than anything that happens in the comics. Gail Simone and her cronies.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. It's funny. Gail Simone was good at one point.
Yeah, until again, if you don't like my politics, don't read my book.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You bet.
Yeah, it's like
You got to bet. I'll put $1 million down on that bet. I will not read one of your comics.
Yeah.
it's
Challenge
crazy.
accepted.
Yeah.
Right. It's crazy because Gail Simone, she was okay. Mark Waid was pretty good.
Yeah, there was a number.
I mean, it's crazy how people that were actually pretty decent, pretty good, fair comic book writers
Mm-hmm.
end up turning into shit once they started, tripping about politics and a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Orange Man Bad became more.
Right, that was the talking point. There was no
Yeah.
other talking point.
Yeah, just let's beat a dead horse of non-intelligent writing.
They still talk about him now. Shit.
Yeah, well, he's living rent-free. I mean, honestly.
Yeah, well, I mean, I will say this: he's not doing himself any favors by going after DeSantis.
No.
I think that's a dumb move.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
One of the strongest individuals in that corner of politics, and you're gonna sit there and thumb your nose at him and call him names and like, what are you doing, man?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I mean, not everybody does things smart sometimes.
Well, and honestly, it's funny. I mean, not to sidestep our comic talk,
Right.
but
Mhm.
you look at like from the point he got into office until the last election,
Mhm.
Twitter was his downfall. At the end of the day, if he had just shut up and not fucking posted,
Mhm.
there would be a lot less talk about that now. But because he was the way he was when he was in office, it made it that much more miserable now
Mhm.
with the the anti, the left side of the aisle.
Mhm.
And it's like, but it's proof that social media has completely fucked this
Yeah.
world up.
Yeah. I mean, really. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, yeah, a bunch of insignificant people thinking the most important things are in the world, so they're going to go out there and tweet about this, and we don't read your stuff, we don't know anything about your stuff, but if you don't make any changes, we're going to complain until you change it, and we still won't read your stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Or buy your product or whatever.
Exactly.
Because we were never interested in the product in the first place.
No, we just want.
It's always about the message, man, the movement. It's more important than it's like it's like when M&M's went woke, they lost money.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's the same thing with Gillette and their ad campaign that was so anti-man, it was ridiculous. And it's like, you sell shavers to men.
Yep.
I mean, that's like basically like, hey, I want to sell Baron something. I'm gonna kick him in the balls first, and then try to sell it to him.
Won't
You
work.
don't want to buy from me.
No, you're right. I won't buy from you no more.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's across the board. Like, and I always thought it was funny the whole woman tax thing. Like, we pay more for our shavers. You do realize the men's shavers are the same thing, right? You don't have to buy the pink one. Nobody will give a shit if you're shaving your coochie with a pink razor.
Mhm.
If you shave it with a blue one that's sold to men, it'll shave the same.
Mhm.
Oh, but we have to pay a tax. No, you don't. You choose to pay that tax.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
once the sales of the pink razors go to fucking shit, they'll realize they made a mistake, and the pricing will change.
Mhm. Right.
Yeah.
But it's easy to lead sheep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It is. And it's not even like with the shaver thing, that's not even a left versus right thing.
No.
That's the woman versus man thing, and that's even more hilarious because we pay for all this extra shit. You don't have to.
No.
No one's making you. No one's forcing it into your pocket and pulling money out.
Right.
Mhm.
Like, you choose to use these products, and at the end of the day, whose fault is that? You.
Right.
That's a whole lot of you problem and none of me.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Man.
But yeah, I mean, it's just you can link that back to comic books, and
Mhm.
Gail Simone saying, "Hey, you don't like my comic or my politics? Don't buy my comics."
Mhm.
Okay, well, we're X number of years past that. How are your? Oh, you're not working there anymore.
Mhm.
Wonder why that happened. Because your comics weren't selling.
Mhm.
So who's she working for now? Because I know it's not any of the big two.
That's a good question. I have not kept up with where she went, or where she's at the moment. That's a good question, though. Shit. Anybody see what?
Schmuck Pile Press, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I can't find anything. Like it's telling me everything she used to work on.
Mhm.
Even her Wikipedia, like it stops at, well, she did this at this date in this, for this, and it stops there, and that's it.
Mhm.
Well, that means she might not really be doing shit then.
Yeah, I mean, they label her as an author, so I don't know if she's writing
Yeah.
books or whatnot. Yeah, like early 2000s, she was at Bongo Comics. I don't even know what that is. DC.
Oh, Bongo Comics. That's the Simpsons.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, that's the line that did the Simpsons and all the other stuff. Yeah, that's Matt Groening's stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like the the most recent television stuff she's worked on was My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic. That was 2019.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it shows her working with Marvel in March 11th of 2022. Gail Simone brings Jessica Jones into her own multiverse with the variants.
Yeah, I think that's the last one though. I don't think she's there anymore.
Well, I mean, that's
That
less
was
than
a
a year
year.
ago.
Well, just short of a year ago, but yeah.
Mhm.
I'm looking through the wiki to see if there's anything.
Very interesting. Well, and of course, she has involvement in the Red Sonja movie, right?
I think so.
Gail Simone confirms involvement in Millennium's Red Sonja film.
Mhm.
That's May 2021. So Matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, they're still coming out with that movie, and it was supposed to have been all kind of, race swap kind of shit. And I heard that the company itself had cut all that shit out, and they got like a proper looking Red Sonja now.
Right.
Yeah.
So they had a black chick at first. And something happened, and she not there no more. Now they got this redhead chick.
Well, yeah, because they did have the outrage. They had people out there, Actually, they
don't care about that.
Sometimes it does work.
Well,
sometimes it does.
Trust me, the outrage for this, it looks like from what it looks like, something happened. Something else happened.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. These companies, very seldom.
And we lost it.
Of the fans to try to course correct. I mean, they have their own agenda, and they don't give a fuck what we think. They just do what the fuck they're gonna do.
Yeah.
So it's at that point, it's like, was it really fan pressure that made them go from the black Red Sonja back to a redhead, one?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. Maybe the politics within the, hey, if we put out this movie with this, with this individual, it might not make no money. So it might, it might have, or if I'm not mistaken, I think I read something like the something happened with the black chick in the movie, and they decided to recast or whatever, and there you go, you got a redhead, white chick with red hair, which is what we all prefer. And
well, yeah, because that's what Red Sonja is. It's
Yeah, exactly. That's, dude. Look, if that's all I want to see is what the fuck I've been reading in the comic books jump out of the fucking page and come to life on the screen, whether it's TV or movies.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Damn, I don't want to see something. I don't want to watch G1 Transformers and then have to fuck around and for the first time see Optimus Prime in a Michael Bay movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's not fucking Optimus Prime.
Right.
Sounds like him.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not fucking Optimus Prime, man.
No.
So, it's the same thing. It sounds like him, but when you look at Optimus Prime in the cartoon, it's funny because when you watch the Bumblebee movie, that's where you see real fucking Optimus Prime, and that's what we could have gotten all this time.
Uh-huh.
So the whole thing of it, it's not possible to do, and we can't make it like that. That's bullshit.
Oh yeah, definitely is. It's just a weak excuse. They have nothing else to say. Oh, you can't do it. It's like BS. You could have. You just didn't want to.
Right. Damn, Gail Simone did The Punisher? Oh, fuck.
Yeah, but that's also why the Punisher is the way he is now.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, she just wrote him like about 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Gail Simone, who is a comic book writer who has worked on titles such as Deadpool, Batgirl, Wonder Woman, Wolverine, and Justice League. Well, some of those titles, depending on what phase of her career, she was actually still good. And then it was just the fact that when she started going woke, and maybe she was always woke, and she started adapting that shit into, it's like, I don't know. So some things is where when you have a writer that's good, it's because he's writing without his own personal shits in the stories. Gail Simone, Mark Waid. But then at some point, when it started becoming more acceptable to start putting your own personal politics and bullshit into your creative work, is when it started becoming acceptable that these people started putting their own personal trash, their own personal beliefs and whatever the fuck into what we have to read every month or what we have to watch every fucking week on TV. Or, movies or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
No, fuck that.
Just write good stories. Just produce good stories.
They don't know how to do that anymore.
No, they don't. They don't. Not in any way, shape, or form. They just don't.
Yeah. Now it's almost imperative to include something additional.
Well, man, I tell you what, man. I know that I am ready to. I'm ready. I'm ready to see what's going to happen within the next year or two.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I don't know what to expect from, DC and comic books, because I'm gonna tell you something. Some things are gonna change. The whole fact that James Gunn is a new player in entertainment. I mean, yeah, he's always put out movies, but now this is a whole different. Now he can basically do what the fuck he wants.
Mm-hmm.
And he's doing it at one of the biggest studios. So at this point, and for what he's saying, he's basically going to be in control of a lot of shit concerning, with comic books and video games and these movies and TV shows and cartoons that, if you're a person that loves pop culture in all of its glory, you're basically out of this one thing. You're going to get a little bit of everything. Some things are going to hit, some things are not. I'm not impressed, but I know that even with this, what we just saw, we're just getting part of part one.
Right.
This is not even like, for all what the fuck we got, is not the complete part one, which is shit. So what's the second half? Is it going to be even more trash? Or are we going to get something else, substantial? And actually, the most solid things that were supposed to be on the slate on this first piece was supposed to be Green Lantern, for the most. And Superman was supposed to be the main things that were supposed to be good, new, and juicy with this new shits. Superman, we don't know what to make of it. Green Lantern, I don't know, buddy cop, space stuff. We have to wait to see what that looks like. And then Batman, if we're supposed to be getting a young Batman in his prime, how the fuck does he already have Damon as a son? In his prime? So it doesn't, and I've heard a lot of people even mention this, as I thought it at the same time. It doesn't match up that we're getting a young ass Superman, but we're getting a young ass Batman with a son.
Right.
So the whole dynamics, or they're basically going to make it where Batman's older than Superman already. We already had that. So I don't even know what the fuck is. I don't get where they're coming from with that, and the fact that they passed over all these Robins. I don't get that either. So we don't see the Red Hood, we don't see Nightwing, and I think we're going to see him at some point, but we're going to see him more in like later on. I don't know. I don't know how the fuck this.
Well, I mean, the Brave and the Bold does state that they're doing Bat family stuff. So you're not going to get individual origins. You're just going to get them existing. Right. So you're not going to go through the arc for Nightwing. You're not going to go through the arc for Red Hood. You're just going to have them there. Kind of like how the Gotham Knights game played out. Like, you didn't get any backstory as to why they.
It's like basically you start the game and everybody is who they are.
Everybody's there, and Batman's dead in quotes because he ends. Well, I don't know. If you haven't played the game, I won't tell you what happens, but he does end up vaguely in the game. But yeah, I mean, they're just going to exist at that point.
Right.
So Nightwing's already going to be in Bloodhaven. You know, Red Hood has already gone through his bad guy arc and is now, you know, anti-hero, whatever, Red Hood. You know, Batgirl, just Batgirl.
What you're saying is that when his Brave and the Bold kicks off, everybody would have already went through being Robins and
right
all this other shit. And basically, when the camera turns on, we're going to see Batman in his current state, and he already has his son.
Right. He already has Damian at that point.
Right.
So talk about skipping an origin. Holy shit, they're skipping all kinds of origins there.
Dude, they're basically skipping like 70, 75 years, 80 years of longer than that.
Yeah.
Damn,
yeah, because you're skipping every single Robin leading up to Damian.
Right. And I mean, Dick Grayson was back in the what, 30s, 40s?
Well, yeah, the original, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know.
But he was also Robin for an exorbitant amount of time.
Right. I don't know, man. Dick Grayson is always my. I'm talking Robin with
Robin.
Yeah, man, with the fucking with the boots where the back of the shoe had that little piece that stuck out in the back.
Yeah.
Dude, with the green tights, man. I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, you know, it's funny because even in comic books they retold his origin. Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I've seen it in the last few years. And when they retold Dick Grayson's origin as being Robin, they had him with pants.
Oh God, yeah.
They basically had him. They had him dressed up like Tim Drake.
Right.
The only thing that was the same was his shirt, you know, with the R on it was more of the original, but from the pants and all that was more of a Tim Drake style, like. So it's like they're even like trying to shy away from showing Dick Grayson as Robin with him just having the little small green trunks on.
Yeah, you're definitely not going to get any of that. All of the Bat family will exist at this point. Because, I mean, honestly, it would take multiple movies just to get to that point if you were going to try to tell any of their fucking backstories.
Right.
I mean, now, you know, Phantom Hooligans says, I still want a Nightwing movie. This is the closest thing you're probably going to get. I don't know if they're going to actually do, you know, in the future, a solo Nightwing movie.
Right.
This will probably be the closest. It'll be Nightwings included in this Batman movie.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, that's a tough one, man. It's and then on top of that, you know, the whole Tom King thing, and
right,
that's just kind of bad, man. You know what? To be honest, man, with everything that's going on, I'm not impressed, man. I'm not impressed, man. This whole phase one of DC, James Gunn shit the bed, man. All for real, man. And we didn't get, you know, we didn't get what we wanted. We got what James Gunn wanted, and everything he greenlit had his brother in it, had his wife in it. You know, he greenlit shit for his homeboys. You know, people from the Suicide Squad. He's bringing in folks from Guardians of the Galaxy. I heard they're coming into the DCEU in the DCU. So basically, it's a James Gunn party, and it doesn't make it any different than anything that Zack Snyder did or anybody else before, or what Hamada did with his Hamadaverse after he got rid of Snyder. it's we got a new boss. He's doing his own shit, and all he's doing is hooking up his friends and his family members.
Yeah.
And that's it. You know, it's like it's his own pet projects, shit that he's been interested in all the time. It's a bunch of shit nobody knows about or shit that nobody cares about. And even for us that know about the Authority, nobody gives a fuck about him to want to watch him any which way. And the thing is, like I said in my video, when that shit first hit, is he's gonna get all this shit, that obscure shit, and even though you don't want it, you didn't ask for it, you know nothing about it, he's gonna put it in your face. He's gonna make it likable, and by the end of it, you're gonna end up loving it, whether you ask for it or not. So he's gonna find something about it, like King Shark, you know, or like another character in Suicide Squad. He's gonna make you like the one or two people or whatever the fuck's in the movie to kind of pull you in, but it's gonna be a whole bunch of shit that you didn't want to see to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
But he's gonna find it a way to make it tangible and acceptable for you to bring it in and possibly give it a fucking shot. And once you do that and you give it a chance, you're gonna find something that you like, and now it's an okay movie.
Mm-hmm.
But was any of this shit what you wanted to begin with? No, it wasn't. And even before we get a Justice League, we're getting the Authority. They're more or less like the fucking super team from Earth 3. The fuck are they? I forgot what the fuck they're.
Well, aren't they also
what the fuck with Owlman and Ultraman and
Are you talking about the Watchmen, or are you talking about the Charlton?
No, nah. We're talking Earth 3 DC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The Earth 3 of DC, the whole plan is run by villains. And they are the equivalent of the Justice League, but they're all bad guys.
Right, and they deal with things in a very aggressive manner, from what I gather.
Right, and I heard that's basically what the Authority is.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You have a Superwoman, Ultraman, Owlman, the guy with the ring. He's called Power Ring. Like their evil version of Green Lantern. That's Power Ring.
Mm-hmm.
Could you be any more obvious with that name?
Oh yeah,
right.
Took a little bit.
Power Ring Man. Look at me! I have this fabulous ring on my finger.
Yeah, so that's basically what we're getting in, and it's like they're going to be basically a version between the Watchmen and the Suicide Squad, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a little bit of both.
And the same thing with that Monster Squad or whatever.
Oh, the monster, the Creature Commando. Yeah, it's a bunch of DC's
monsters.
Yeah, monsters put together as an army. Like, okay. During World War II. Why? Because that's around the 30s and 40s when Frankenstein was doing his thing. And then who's the leader of that team?
Well, it's supposed to be Frankenstein's bride.
Yeah, the Bride of Frankenstein is supposed to be the leader of that.
Mm-hmm.
So there you have it. She's more of a fucking leader than fucking Rick Flag Sr. She's gonna be running his ass.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. She's gonna tell his bitch ass to do 100 push-ups, right? Get your ass down in. You don't. So you know what? I'm gonna be honest, man. The whole thing with the Authority, the fact that they have a version of Batman and Superman and they're married to each other. The fact that it's going to be like some super powered LGBTQ murderous, crazy, you know, whatever, evil, whatever the fuck kind of. I don't know. What do you do with that, man? So you're gonna have a badass team of these superpower individuals that do what the fuck they want to do, and they got all the woke elements into it that in today's how we look at this shit. It's like, I don't know, man. I didn't give a fuck about them then, and I remember seeing Superman in the Authority last year. And if I'm not mistaken, one of them got killed in that story. But it doesn't mean that, now that James Gunn is taking over, it doesn't mean that it's canon now.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's always some sort of separation between comic book and
movies, right?
Yeah,
right. Always some.
Funny, I had a guy put a mess, send me a message yesterday about, a video I made when Peacemaker came out, season 1, first, and John Cena decided to tell James Gunn, hey, let's make Peacemaker bisexual. So I did a video on it back then, before this, when the shit was coming out and everything. The guy sent me a message yesterday saying, hey, you need to realize that he's bisexual in the comics. No, they made him bisexual in the comic books last year.
Yeah, it was more recent.
Yeah.
So, but before then, if you know anything about Peacemaker, he's been out since the 70s or late 60s or something like that. He has a daughter.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's like he's not, he was never portrayed that way. But I got a guy in the comment section after I fucking did the video almost a year ago. Fucking comment yesterday like, hey man, can we all just get along and realize that Peacemaker is bisexual? Motherfucker, what do you know?
Well, can we get along? In other words, can't you just go my way and you just get rid of your opinions and follow mine? That's the best way we can get along. Really, that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean that's the end of the. Yeah, that's what they're looking for at the end of the day. They don't want a. How do you put it? They're not trying to find the happy medium. They want you to just go, okay, well, fine, he's gay or whatever, or he's bisexual. It's never that. It's proven time and time again, Twitter and all these other things, that they don't want middle ground. They want your middle ground to be where they're standing.
Agree or else.
Right.
That's how we're accepting. You have to agree with us or else. If we do not agree with us, you're an ist, a phobe, and all this other stuff, and we're going to cancel you. And just because you don't look at my worldview and how I look at these comics, you're wrong. It doesn't matter that it's outside of that 5-year bubble I have.
Right. Yeah, because nothing happened, nothing existed. No lore exists. It's purely just at what point did they make them different, and then from that point forward.
Right.
So yeah, the whole Jonathan Kent is gay. No, it's because they fucking wrote this story gay, and the individual who wrote it had an agenda. No, he's gay.
Yeah, and to be honest, it still hasn't been a year yet.
Yeah, I know.
It's like 10 months ago, almost 11 or some shit like that. Like I think it was like March, April of last year. And then it's funny because they did it to, I think it was March of last year. They did it to Jonathan Kent. Then by April, fucking Tim Drake. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, it was exactly the next month.
It was the year of the gay. I mean,
last year, boy, man, I was mad as fuck, man, behind both. But I guess we'll see what's going to happen with everything. I don't know. It's it's disappointing, but at the same time, I'm really waiting to see what's going to happen, man. Because either good or bad, I'm going to be there to see it either go up or go down. So,
I mean, I hope it's good. I mean, I'm being very cautiously hopeful.
yeah, I mean, it would be nice if something didn't suck and
Right.
it was good and it was made properly and not with no bullshit agenda. But you gotta be careful with James Gunn, man.
Right.
I don't trust him, man.
Oh, I know he's not worthy of being trusted. Just hopefully he's smart enough to realize that things have to go a different way. He cannot do the same formula that he did over at Marvel or was part of at Marvel. So, I mean, yeah, exactly. It's a tricky spot, but I'm still hopefully. I'm trying to be hopeful because something's got to give. It really does.
Right.
And honestly, it's well, again, when they've got to notice when they see on the shelves all their comics sitting there collecting dust while other stuff is going.
See,
Something-
that's the problem, though. The way they report on sales, and they're not even doing it anymore. If you look, you can't get sales numbers out of any of the big two, not official sales numbers. What they used to do when they had a different distributor was the distributor would count sales to the comic store as sales.
Right.
And that was just the comic store keeping their stock up. Outside of that, you had a handful of sites that would reach out to significant comic book stores to try to get an idea of, okay, post it coming into your shop and getting put on the shelf, how many sales are coming off of that?
Right.
And you only got vague numbers because there's no big network of comic book stores that keep track of these things. So you always got inflated numbers anyway because it was, oh, well, we've sold X copies to these comic book stores. They're not telling you, oh, well, they're sitting there for 7 months on end, getting backlogged with other issues because nobody's buying them out of the comic book stores. They were just counting as it went out the door to the comic book stores, that was a sale.
Right.
So, their numbers were bloated as fuck. And now that they changed their distributor, the current distributor, especially for DC, if I'm not mistaken, they don't keep track of any of that. So you have no clue as to what they're selling. And only that tweet that I mentioned where you can physically see the issues are still on the fucking shelves in a store that's closing and charging 75% less, that they're not fucking selling.
Right.
The whole system is fucking flawed.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
That's crazy. That's and then another thing too, I've also seen about a month or two ago, there was articles being put out that comic book store owners were being pressured into ordering comic books from the distributor. Let's say you want you got the new Warriors, and they you only wanted like 15, maybe 20 copies, but they want you to get 50 or 100.
Right, they're forcing them into higher numbers.
Yeah, into ordering more than what they need, and the thing is, the comic book store ends up having to, keep all that shit because they can't return it back.
Right.
Because there was a point where you were able to send back your comic books that you didn't sell.
Right.
Yeah, no, they don't do that.
Yeah, they don't do that.
They're paid for at that point as far as the comic book distributor is concerned.
Right, exactly. So basically, the comic book store owner is stuck with all those fucking comic books that nobody wants to buy, and it was because they were pressured by the distributor to fucking order all these extra ones and dude, it started to become an issue, and that's when you
Well-
started to see a lot of these comic book stores with all that excess woke ass comics in their comic book store.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to come to a point where the remaining comic book stores, because honestly, they're going out of business left and right.
Right.
The
Mhm.
ones that are still surviving are just going to be like, I need 12 issues or 12 copies of this issue. And when the distributor says, no, you got to order a full pack of 30 or 50 or whatever, the comic book store at that point just has to like, look, I can't afford to have these sitting on my shelf. I'm sorry. I never mind then. And that's when you'll see the problems start to hit home for those companies, is when this distributor can't get rid of issues.
Right.
Right. Exactly.
But there's a whole big problem on why these comic books ain't being sold. A lot of them, from what I've been seeing for the last many years now, is all the variant covers to every issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that was always kind of a thorn in the side for comic books, was to drum up interest. They would release all these variant, and this is even before the woke stuff, having all these variant issues was driving the collectible market all kinds of haywire,
Right.
because it was forcing value on comics that didn't necessarily deserve the value they got.
Correct.
So just because something had 4 variant covers, now you have to have all the variant covers if you're a collector, or you aim at one specific one that seemed to have been printed less than the others, but it still drove the cost of those comics through the roof. Like, how many variant covers of Killing Joke were there? Depends on if you look at each reissue. Each reissue was a different
Cover.
the text was a different cover,
Right.
color. So now there's like 14 of them or some shit. It's the same goddamn book. It's
Right.
just it's got different text on the front.
Mhm.
Great. Now idiots are charging, $25-$30 for the white one because that was the first run,
Right.
or the third run only had so many issues, so that one's rarer. So you see that for $50, and it's retarded because again, it's the same book. Right. Nothing about it was any different other than that cover.
Right. Wow.
You know,
yeah, that's...
You go back far enough, and variant covers were just kind of a cool thing because it maybe it highlighted a different artist than was in the book, or it had its own intrinsic value. But beyond that, it was just a cool thing. And collectors, just like collectors in any genre of anything in the world, Hot Wheels were cool to collect until the collectors got involved. And now it's a fight to run into a store, tell them to go grab a box out of the back that's labeled with a C instead of a D, because that C box has all these specific possibilities in it. So now you got to sit there and fight the collectors to get any particular variant on paint or whatever.
Right.
It's the same across the board. Collectors have made a mess of everything they've ever gotten their hands into.
Yeah, I agree.
Because to them, it's not about what it is; it's about the money it involves. And I could, and I could turn around, and if I happen to have one of my original Hot Wheels that were given to me by my cousin or whatever, which were original 1968 issue Hot Wheels, and I happen to have the VW Bug in pink,
Oh, wow.
that fucking thing is a $100,000 car. It's this
Right.
tiny little Hot Wheels, but it's worth 100,000 because there was only ever like 30 of them made in that color. And it wouldn't matter, except the collectors know, oh, that's rare, so that's worth money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's actually you'd be surprised how how collectors really change up a lot of shit. Give you an example from, let's say, the time that James Gunn said the announcement last week, that the Authority comic book runs
Mm-hmm.
and the Brave and the Bold runs with Batman and Damian, those comic books, nobody didn't give a fuck about them last week, but this week they fucking shot
now
through
it's
the
a big
roof.
thing.
So if I'm hearing right, 3 or 4 times the amount of what they were worth. So basically, if you had an Authority #1 CGC,
It's suddenly worth something.
slap comic
Yeah.
book, it was normally going for maybe $90 to $100.
Mm-hmm.
Now people were buying them for $400 or $500.
Jesus.
So in 1 week, from the time that like All-Star Superman, from the time that James Gunn was like, "Yo, I'm reading All-Star Superman so I can do new Superman movie," All-Star Superman started might give a fuck about buying them, but now they're fucking running off the shelves. Authority running off the shelves, like you can't find Authority no more. It's that is what they say, the fear of FOMO, the fear of losing out, man.
Right.
So it's like, people know that this is going to be the new shit. Now, anything that people can see with Frankenstein from DC Comics, they're going to try to buy all the new shit.
Exactly.
Now, nobody goes Dr. Phosphorus, but now, they trying to find Dr. Phosphorus everywhere, and his first appearance is going to be worth 5-10 times more now that James Gunn is putting Dr. Phosphorus that nobody gave a fuck about all this time. He was the guy that was in between Joker's legs when Joker had his baby. Now he's in this fucking new cartoon, and everybody, Dr. Phosphorus, we need to find Dr. Phosphorus #1 comic book. It's his origin. He's in this and that comic. He's in Green Lantern. We need to find it. Well, it's like, what the fuck? It's like it's crazy, man. Now a lot of shit that people didn't give a fuck about with none of this stuff. Now everybody cares about it a week later.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, the same thing with role-playing game books and stuff like that. Whenever something doesn't change, like, with Star Wars, all of a sudden, after a while, when Disney is screwing up big time with it, those older game systems start rising up in prices. And same thing with the D&D games now that people are getting a little pissed off at WotC for what their little antics are. The older stuff is going up in prices now.
Right.
Yeah. Now I will say this though, WotC threw them a curveball because they decided to reissue the rule set that was prior to the changes.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody who was collecting, like, I got one of the old ones. Now they're like, oh shit, because now they don't need to.
Right.
The value fell out because they reissued the old rule set.
Mm-hmm. And the big thing is, when it comes right down to it, I mean, I'm not doing this stuff for money. I'm, if I buy something like this, what I want. But sometimes it's nice to know that something you have is worth something.
Well, yeah, and it's like I was saying, it's not any of us because for the Hot Wheels that I do grab when I see them, I grabbed the '66 Batmobile because I thought that was a cool reissue.
Yep.
I've got the new Batmobile from The Batman because I like that car. I don't necessarily like the movie, but I do like the fact that they built it off of what is an assumed Charger.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks cool. Okay, cool. I've got that one too. I've actually got Star Wars Hot Wheels. I have the Darth Vader car, which they actually made into a real car.
Mm-hmm.
I've got the Kylo Ren car only because the car looks cool, not because the character's worth of shit.
Mm-hmm.
I've got an R2-D2 car, because I got them not to say, oh, they're going to be worth something later. I've got them because they were of interest to me. I don't plan on selling them again or whatever.
Mhm.
You know, it's
Right.
the individuals who get involved in a hobby purely to make money. They're the ones that are always the problem.
Right.
And it goes across, like I said, it goes across everything,
Mhm.
be it fandom and nerddom,
You're right.
all the way into auctions for real vehicles.
Mhm.
You know, why does X vehicle warrant that price? Because someone's stupid enough to fucking pay the price,
Mhm.
right? All these old classic cars, you're getting to the point now where four-door sedan mid-70s vehicles are through the roof price-wise.
Wow.
And it's like, why? Nobody wanted them when they came out because of the gas crisis and whatever, and
Mhm.
you know, the US being 10 years behind on all designs had
Mhm.
issues. You know, big Lincolns and big Cadillacs from the 70s are all just skyrocketing in price because, ooh, it's old, it must be rare.
Mhm.
You know, there was a guy who used to live down the street from me back when I lived in Buffalo.
Uh-huh.
He had 3 Cadillacs of varying years. 3. And he was pretty well off. You know, I mean, he had a good job and he got paid well and he loved his Cadillacs.
Mhm.
He had a 60, no, it was earlier than that. I want to say a 55 or 56
Mhm.
DeVille convertible in robin egg blue, gorgeous car. He had I want to say a mid 60s sedan DeVille.
Right.
And then he had what he thought was going to be the barnstormer money wise, which was a 76 Eldorado convertible. Because at the time that was produced, Cadillac went, this is the last convertible we're ever going to make.
Mhm.
And for a number of years, that was true. So that was the last convertible Cadillac. Well, of course, no car company can fucking stick to a claim like that.
No.
And eventually they did come out with other convertibles. So it, for a while, beat up the value of the Eldorado, but now they're coming back into style because people want the big old Cadillacs.
Right.
The most gorgeous one out of the 3, the Eldorado was silver on black, real sharp. But that early one that he had that was a convertible, I got to ride in that thing. That thing was fucking amazing. But it's like, you know, the how do I put this? The mystique of the car outweighs the sum of its parts.
Right.
So like the car itself, was it a really great handling car? No, it was a big boat. It handled like a boat. It wasn't really fast because it was heavy. It was none of the things that you would ever attach to a valuable car.
Right.
It was just a big, luxurious car. But because the mystique of owning a DeVille convertible of that vintage was so amazing that their values are ridiculous. You look at any muscle car, right? And for the years that they were produced, you know, they were produced in limited numbers because not everybody could afford them. And at the end of the day, nobody could afford to keep them, even if they could afford to buy it. They ate gas, they ate tires if you were too heavy on the accelerator. And by 72, they're all gone because nobody could put gas in them. And now, you know, it's like, oh, wow, 70 GTO, just a plain GTO, not even a Judge, you know, not even a Ram Air GTO, just a 400 4-speed GTO. It's a $100,000 car for no reason. You know, because the Judge goes for close to 200,000. It's like, and it's all these collectors that basically stash these cars away in collections and never drive them. And they just sit and rot. And dildo, go fuck yourself. You will never find me in a smart car unless I've run into it, went through the windshield, and went through the back windshield of the smart car. And at that point, there wouldn't be much left of the smart car in the first place.
Mm.
Oh man. Oh shit. You guys are funny.
I think Sydney Dildo pushed a button there.
Yeah, well, I mean, to put it bluntly, I have 3 vehicles. I have a 2001 Dodge Ram 2500 that was given to me for work that I had done for somebody. Right, so that was a free vehicle, effectively. Right. I mean, I had to put time in, but who cares? The car I recently bought is an 03 BMW 540i M Sport. Ooh. It was one of those bucket list type cars. I can't afford an M5. That's the next closest thing. So that's car 2. Car 3 is an absolute bucket list car. 68 Dodge Dart with a small block. Now it's currently sitting at a buddy of mine's house, and I'm waiting for the Blueprint engines order to be finished so they can ship that engine out to me, and that engine's going in it. So it'll be a 408 small block stroker. But nonetheless, like, my obvious car selections are nowhere near Matt's choice of transportation. But anyway, I digress.
So there, Dildo.
Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you what. You guys, anything you guys want to say before we wrap it up?
Not much for me, no.
Yeah, I know we've been going for
how long have we been going for? Oh, almost 3 hours, 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, so I know I gotta get up and get to moving around, but
yeah,
I'm gonna be honest, man. I had a great time. I know we've had a lot of people coming in, wanted to at least acknowledge everybody before we head out. Cincy and Dildo, my brother, man, it's good to see you back here, fucking around, man. It's always great to see you in the chat, man. My boy Zax, Zombie Box Review, ZBR. What's up, man? Great to have you here. Let me see who else we got in the house. We have Low Spec Links Laptop, my brother Jeff, Phantom Hooligan. That's a hell of a name, man.
Yep, that's Cash Monet.
Yeah, Cash Money, man. I know. Low Spec says Ultraman. Yeah, if you look up DC Comics has an Ultraman. He's evil version of Superman. And he's from Earth 3. So in case you never heard of it, he's from the group is called is it the Secret Society of Supervillains? I don't think so. I think it's not the Injustice Society. No, it's man, I can't believe I fucking forgot. But yeah, they're part of an evil Justice League out there in Earth 3, and it's crazy because the hero, they only have one hero on the whole planet, and his name is Alexander Luthor. So he's actually the Lex Luthor of Earth 3. And it's funny because he's the only hero, and the whole planet is all villains.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, that was always the big thing of Earth 3. He was the only hero that they've had. So, but yeah, man, the long suffering. Hope you're getting better. Great to have you here. Pacific 414, my boy Zax. See, hopefully, old man. What's up, old man? Great to have you here.
Yep.
Leia Rose. Yep, she's in the house. Great to have you here. Man, I hope I'm not. I know I'm missing a bunch of other people too. I'm tripping, but my thing, it's only going up so far, and then it's like it's only showing so. The lovely Sherry was here also. Yeah, the Captain Fandom Nerd. All right, Mr. PPV, and Rod
Did you get
Thunderheart.
Did you get Pacific? I can't remember if I did that.
Yeah. I got Pacific 414
Okay.
earlier, but shit, he's worthy of a second shout out, so he'll definitely get it, man. My boy, Pacific, man. Yeah, man. Man, I'm looking forward to the next invite, man. So, Keely Chow was in the house.
Roll
Lord
Tide.
Talk. Yep. Dog's ready to go. So, I know. Yeah, I just wanted to just tell everybody thank y'all for being here, and I know that none of this would be possible without y'all. I know. Before I go, I just want to say in the next coming weeks, we try to get better about addressing the chat, and I've been thinking about that a lot. I'm not really good at that. I just go and just talk to the panel, and I'll highlight the chat, but I got to do better, man. And I recognize that within myself, man. So I just apologize to y'all. My boy Socks Bulletin, my man. Didn't mean to leave you out, man. But I'm scrolling through and just caught your name. But I wanted to just tell everybody, man, I appreciate y'all, man. Love y'all. You guys have always been awesome. You guys have always treated us well. And I just wanted to just give my appreciation and just hope that everyone's having, a great night. I know we talked about all kind of random shit, but you know how it gets sometimes. I just hope Zachariah 315. It's great to have you here, man. Yeah, man, we're getting ready to. Been going for almost 3.5 hours, so yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get up out of here. But just want to tell everybody thank y'all, and I appreciate y'all, everybody in the chat, my panel members, and just hope everybody enjoys the rest of the evening, and just want you guys to have a great week this week. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing y'all again on Sunday. And in between time, I got a bunch of videos I'm going to be dropping. I got a couple of interesting things that I found out that the next day or two, when I drop my videos, hopefully people I want to hear what folks have to say when they see some of the shit I drop. So but yeah, I'm looking forward to a good week, and hopefully everybody have a good week as well. So from New Bomb Turk, Baron Norman Tag, Vigilante Williamson, I'm your boy 24/7 with 24/7 Fusion Media. We are the primetime kings of live stream, and we are out.
See you.
He can't multitask. He'd be a terrible woman. So this was not the question. Hey man, fuck you, man. That's what's up, man. That's why we love you, man. It's all good, brother. Hey man, take it easy, Sentient, man. You have a good week, man. Love you, brother. And everybody else, love y'all. Y'all take care, man. And like I say, man, y'all have a great week, man. And we are out of here.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.